Oh, hello. Oh, hey. Oh, hi. Oh, how are you? It is I, the Crooked Sometimes Man. Let's go straight to the game overlay. Hello. Oh, well, this is apparently still on. I had to rush and set everything back up due to the OBS dying. Oh, Oh, hello, Cookie. Hello. Hi. Hello, hey. How are you all doing today? This week has been an interesting one, hasn't it? A park redeem already. I can't believe you. We just started. All right, hold on. No, wait, not down there. Hold on. There we go. All right. Bruh. There. Are you happy now? Crotch cam is crazy. Not yet. We gotta wait till we get like the knight's armor with the massive cod piece. Then it'll be crazy. Oh, did you all hear about the gunman who was arrested, who had a ton of Pippa Pipkin merch, and inscribed her name in on his shotgun? Did you guys see that? The over occasion, and I'm not sure if it was Monday or over the weekend. Monday or over the weekend, right? It was at one of those No Kings protests, right? And this guy had brought a gun into a crowd. Now, as far as we know, right, at time of writing, he didn't brandish it dangerously. He didn't point it at anyone. There was no intention of him like shooting anyone, right? And he didn't shoot anyone. But he got into a fight. With a bunch of people around him. Now, whether he was part of the protest or a counter-protester, I think that's still up in the air. No one knows. I don't really know who he was. It doesn't seem like he'd be part of the counter-protest to me. But either way, any hootsin, he got into a fight, and he announced loudly that he has a gun and telling the guy to back off. Telling the guy who was antagonizing him to back off. This sends the crowd into a panic. And they go and they run off, find the police. They bring the police over, and the police arrest him for brandishing a firearm, right? No, again, he didn't point at police. He didn't point it at anyone. So it wasn't like he was some crazed gunman or something like that, right? So the police arrested him, and of course, it arrested him for brandishing a firearm. They do an investigation on him. And a bunch of stuff starts coming out, right? A bunch of stuff that he has, a lot of his posts on the internet and things like that just started rolling out, where like he has like the book Democracy That Failed with a Pipkin Dakimakura and a revolver on one of his posts. He has they found this shotgun that has a bunch of stuff etched in on it. They had a bunch of stuff that was etched on his gun, and he like had Pippa etched on his gun, on his shotgun, and just a lot of crazy, like really cringe stuff started coming out about this guy, and it's like, well, that certainly was a way this was gonna go. Like, so let's point out, at least he was just like there, right? At least it wasn't like he was like some crazy gunman, like or who shot people. Or like the stuff that happened over the weekend. I think it was over this weekend. Maybe it was last week. Where another No King protest, where two people participating in the protest shot at each other and killed an innocent bystander because two of them panicked when they saw a guy with a gun in the crowd, and the guy with the gun in the crowd was part of the protest. But they thought he was like, oh my god, he's a gunman, and they pull out their guns, they point guns at him, he points his gun back at them, and they both shoot, and one of them, they don't both shoot at each other. The people pointing the guns at him shot at him, they missed, they killed the bystander, and then he ran off, and the guy who ran off got arrested for murder, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I would think it would be the people who shot at him, but whatever. Bro doesn't know how to read a room. Yeah, no, certainly going, stand back, I have a gun, is, It's not a very smart way to de-escalate a conflict. I gotta say, that has to be probably the worst way to de-escalate a conflict I've ever seen in my life. I gotta get out of here, man. At least it's been contained, you know, in like Minnesota and like the West area of the United States, right? A lot of the stuff's happening over there, and it's just like, okay, well, at least it's all staying the fuck over there. Yeah, it's been a crazy weekend. It's been a crazy weekend. But we had that fucking we had the what was it, Minnesota congressman? Yeah, that wouldn't happen down here. Well, probably something more interesting would happen down there than everyone freaking out about each other. But it was the politician lady who got shot in Minnesota, who was killed by some assassin. And then all the conspiracy theories coming out about that. There's been tons of conspiracy theories coming out about that. I don't know what the hell is going on with that up there. There are people saying on the internet, I don't know if this is true or not, right? Shit's getting wild. It's getting wild. You got the LA riots over there. The assassin guy, where people are saying it's a it's another CIA psyop, because the guy they arrested is apparently like a completely different build than the guy who's on the CCTV camera who actually shot the politician lady. And it's like there's a lot of weird stuff coming out about that, and I don't know how much of any of it is true or not, or just people making conspiracies or not, or whatnot. You know, it's the internet. You can never take anything they say without a pinch of salt. But yeah, that's it's crazy. And then there's the LA riots. The LA riots, or LA trying to secede from the Union. It's the autonomous zones all over again. It's the Chaz all over again. And Mexico talking about reestablishing the borders from 1830, before the Mexican-American War. There's been some rumblings in Mexican politics about them getting back their old territory that they lost in the Mexican-American War when Texas tried to join America and secede from a newly founded Mexico. If you don't know anything about that war, if you don't know your American history, right? Which I call bullshit on that, because it didn't belong to Mexico. It belonged to Spain. That was Spanish territory, and it belonged to the Spanish Empire. God damn it. Get it right. I will rather sell it to Spain. I will sell it to Spain before I sell it to Mexico. Anyway, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh, or just sit there in bewildered silence. It's the only real options you got these days. So what do I have planned today? What does the Crooked Man have planned, right? Not a whole lot. I can change the music around. Hold on, let me change the music. I don't got a whole lot planned today. I was just gonna sit back and watch some videos. Some silly videos, some more, I don't know if you call it political or not. Like, I want to watch this video, right? The average male fantasy from Shoe on Head. Now, Shoe on Head is a political commentator, right? Kinda, mostly, sorta. Yeah, Shuon has been around on the internet for a long time. She came back from all the way back in the Gamergate days, even, or shortly after the Gamergate days. And she's been on the political commentary thing, especially dealing with leftism and wokeism from a liberal perspective, because she is a rather left-leaning individual herself. But so she's been around on the internet for a long time. She's been around for like damn near a little over 10 years at this point, actually, of making YouTube content. I believe she used to always be around with the Armored Skeptic, but he doesn't seem to be around these days. Anyway, I've been watching some of her content recently. It's really funny. It's pretty funny, though a little political, but pretty funny. Especially the what you would call the dating slop content is what I call it, involving men and women and what they and the darndest things they say on the internet. Right. This, I think, is another one of that. Right. This involves. I know what this involves. I saw it live when it was happening. A little political, American flag in the background. Yeah, but she's also. She's not like. It's hard to describe, right? It's hard to describe because she's a populist leftist, as she describes her politics. But she is very critical of America as well, but in ways I would say are very fair to be critical of. For instance, she did a whole video recently on the US aid being cut and went into you and me both, sister. I think you would actually really like Shu, Cookie. I think you would really like Shu on Head. She went into the history of US aid and what USA was all about. And honestly, there's a lot of shit I didn't know about USAID. Like, I didn't know that USAID was made to work in conjunction with the CIA. Like, that's why it exists in the first place. I didn't know that. It was called the little sister of the CIA for the longest time, apparently. Which is insane to think about. That all those little programs that you hear political commentators talk, you hear the pundits talk about, with like, oh, Trump cut aid to fucking chicken tickling in Nepal, but like the thing was, USAID always had crazy things on their budget like that were usually covers for CIA ops. Go get that shit fixed, Cookie. Go get it fixed. But like, they will always cover for CIA ops, right? So all these crazy things that they're removing from the budget of the USAID and that have been being posted on the internet are probably CIA ops. They're probably more of what we do, our American imperialism, when we go removing dictators from other countries, destabilizing power structures to make more America-friendly politicians take charge, more friendly American politics take charge in other countries. That kind of stuff. The stuff that I don't like us doing, because I don't want to be I don't want to be part of everyone else's fucking nonsense. God knows we got enough fucking nonsense here. But anyway, let's watch this video. I just realized I forgot to fucking unmute.
Men, what do they want? Money, status, fast, expensive cars? What is the ultimate male fantasy?
Perfectly painted Warhammer figurines. If only I could be so grossly incandescent as to have a model that doesn't look like it has Down syndrome.
Is it fame, fortune, 3 hot chicks at once? Hell yeah, brother. No.
Hell yeah, brother.
On the internet, it's something a little more simple.
Oh, I remember this. I remember this. This was a video that was going. It's from a movie, right? And it was I never seen the movie, but I saw this post on Twitter. I know what she's gonna be talking about. I saw this shit when it was happening live. I was fucking there when the fucking don't you go quoting the old lore to me. I was there the day it was written. I saw this shit happening live of the wildest fucking takes from people. Like, someone posted this and they said this is the average male fantasy, and the amount of fucking women who were coming out talking about how this is some kind of rape fantasy. There was a lot of self-reporting that day. There was. Someone had read Handmaid's Tale a few too many times and is a little into it. All right? That's all I'm saying. I wonder if I should watch this movie. It looks like it could be a good movie.
This is literally just a fetish. I fucking hate men.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Yeah, that was it right there. I saw this shit happening live, right? I was scrolling through the comments, was like, wow, this post really exploded for some reason. Why did this post get so big? And I start scrolling down and I see like fucking, I hate men, I hate men, I hate men. What is this rape fantasy? Oh, you just want to control and manipulate her. Men are so disgusting. Like, so many hateful people under that post for what is entirely a fucking wholesome relationship from what I can tell. And from what people say about the movie, right? The people say the movie is a incredibly wholesome relationship.
So much. Men are why we can't have nice things.
Huzzah!
As I was working on an upcoming video, I made the terrible mistake of logging onto Twitter, where I saw this post. A montage from the
fucking logging on to Twitter. Logging on to Twitter is the way you get a fucking headache. Honestly, if I wasn't a VTuber, I would never have anything to do with Twitter. Honestly, I'm still, with how little traction I have on Twitter, I'm kind of just debating even if I want to post anything to Twitter. Because I feel like if anything pops off on Twitter, it's going to be a fucking nightmare to deal with. Right? Like, if any of my posts, right, ever see the light of day, it's not even like I post anything that bad, right? I just feel like some miserable fucking cretin. It's just going to be an awful pain in the ass when I try to fucking enjoy, when I try to send a funny meme or something, right? Like, Twitter is just a place you go to if you just want to be mad about something. And it just seems like everyone has taken that lesson to heart. Everyone seems to just go onto Twitter just to fucking get mad about something, or to accuse someone of the worst fucking shit. Like, if you like attractive anime waifus, you're a pedophile. If you're fucking if you're not part of X conflict, you clearly hate X faction and want everyone to die, and you're literally Hitler. Like, it's just the worst of fucking just everyone arguing about crazy things. Even like an innocuous post about like fucking Avowed, for instance. I think Avowed. I saw so many people getting fucking pissy about the idea of the fact that Avowed wasn't really that great of a game. It wasn't really that good. And just so many people just unable to just accept the idea that the game perhaps has financially failed. They're like, no. They're just like, they go fleeing like the report. Like, and then something was just like normal, right? It was just like, they're just gonna cite the Game Pass. Some people were just like, all right, you fucking retard. And then starts throwing slurs at you for fucking not agreeing with them. It's like, what the fuck? Calm down, dude. It was a mid-game at best. It's not worth attaching your whole fucking identity to or something. Like, calm down.
The anime Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish, a movie about a college student who's assigned to take care of a paraplegic girl, and spoiler, eventually they fall in love. Many men were yearn posting in the replies of this tweet and talking about how they wish to fall in love and would love a relationship like this, while many others, mostly women, were absolutely fucking disgusted at this.
I'm not shocked. I mean, I was shocked during the time when I first saw it, but like after some of the things you see You know, just sometimes you're just not really surprised, especially because it's Twitter. And I don't know about Twitter. Twitter just brings out the worst kind of people, especially when it comes to anything involving men and women, right? If it involves men and women in a relationship, it brings out, especially amongst women, it brings out like the worst kind of women. It's insane. It's insane, man.
Why would a bunch of men be fantasizing
and terrible
about
men
being
too,
with a
like,
woman
anyway.
in a wheelchair? Seems pretty creepy and predatory, right? Also just unrealistic and problematic. Well, in this video, we are going to be talking about why so many men resonated to that clip and this movie, and why so many people are so confused as to why. We are also going...
I could understand it, right? Like the premise of the movie, plus with the relationship that happens there, it does appeal to the male fantasy, doesn't it? It appeals to men of wanting to be a provider and being appreciated for it. They want to be useful. They want to help people. I can understand this as a man myself. I am a sometimes man. I can see it. I can see why this would heavily appeal to men who, especially in this day and age where people just struggle to find relationships out there, right? Where people really fucking struggle to find that other person that really clicks with them. A movie that's just like a movie, even as a clip that's just like this, would really I would imagine would resonate with men quite heavily.
Going to be reading some absolutely unhinged tweets as usual to get to the...
Are you talking about men's appeal? Well, this video is about, you may not see it behind your Ko-Fi stream, but it's called The Average Male Fantasy. And you're about to see some fucking insane takes from women, Cookie. Give it a minute. America, yeah. America, yeah. Hello, Bumpy.
Bottom of why such a wholesome post turned into, once again, another battlefront for the ongoing, never-ending gender war. Men versus women, women versus men, the male loneliness epidemic, the female loneliness epidemic, the dealing with dating apps. Do men prefer thin women or curvy women? Brunettes or blondes? Do women like dad bods or fit men? Do they like beards or clean-shaven? Oh yeah, that reminds me.
Shit, it's an ad! It's an ad!
Today's sponsor, Henson Shaving.
Ah!
Do you ever just accept that some products
No
are just
ads!
garbage? Like, for years, I thought ripping your tights on the first wear... I basically know nothing about anime.
Loneliness epidemic, how about having a personality? It doesn't really work that way, Cookie. Like... how to describe it? There is quite a loneliness epidemic going on out there these days, and it is a both sides of the aisle sort of problem where both see the other one as the issue, and then zero self-reflection whatsoever. So yeah, we have zero self-reflection whatsoever. I can go on a math tangent about both sides, but I digress. Oh, we're about to see some examples, I'm sure, because I know the post exactly what she's talking about. While you were busy getting your phone charged up, I had saw this shit come out in real time. I saw this post when it was fresh, picked straight from the orchard, right? And I got to see all the unhinged posts going on that one, and they get fucking crazy.
Anime. I am probably the most tourist of all the tourists. Yeah, hi. I have a question. Was the upskirt shot necessary in order to advance the plot?
Yes.
I watched
It was very
Pokemon
necessary.
And Sailor Moon when I was a kid, and a few years ago I watched Beastars on Netflix. Legoshi, best boy. Not a furry, by the way.
Definitely
Honestly,
a furry.
That's about it for my anime consumption. Unless you're counting VTubers. If you're counting VTubers, I watch a lot of anime. But because of this clip going viral, I watched...
Everyone loves VTubers. The only people who don't like VTubers are people who don't watch VTubers. I'm pretty certain of that. The people who never tried to watch a VTuber before.
Josie the Tiger and the Fish, and well, I thought it was a good movie. I recommend watching it. I thought it was a really cute, good story. I only cried a little bit. And I completely understood what the tweet meant by calling it the
I just don't like people. Damn these real people. I'm going to go to my virtual waifus on the internet. My safety bubble.
male fantasy. So what was wrong with it? Why did this clip go so viral in such a negative way? Why were thousands of people angry at this post? Well, let us dilly-dally no longer and read some of these angry replies.
No
to get
more
a better
dilly-dallying.
understanding of what the issue is, shall we? Wholesome male fantasy, and it's fetishizing a disabled girl for him to control. Oh. Oh no.
Ah, we're starting off strong. We're starting off strong. The projection is real.
Oh, they think, oh god, why? Always vulnerable, always happy, always needs you. Pretty perverted. Where are these fan fictions coming from? There were like hundreds of tweets just like this. Why did they see a cute montage of a happy couple, a man and a woman happy, together? I know, unheard of. Why did they see that and then immediately come to these conclusions? Like, as someone who actually watched the movie, Josie is not always happy.
Your Honor, AO3, I knew it. Fucking AO3, it was always the problem. Ban AO3 and all of its fan fictions. I knew it. No, I think it's projection. I need that shit. Oh no.
Portrayed as some like
Cookie Porquet.
woo sex doll waifu. She's boisterous. She kind of has a foul mouth. She's very sassy and headstrong. She like straight up calls him her servant. But she was also very depressed. She basically never left her house. She was basically a girl failure. As a former girl failure, I love to see representation in media. But they actually show her disability, like, not in a good way. Like, they don't romanticize it, they don't sugarcoat it. And I noticed, unlike a lot of movies, unlike a lot of romance movies, at least like the Hallmark kind, where it's like the stuffy male lead learning to live life from the quirky,
As a current girl failure, it's lovely. You love your representation, don't you, Cookie?
cute female lead. He's already got his shit together, and she learns to live life from him. He encourages her to live her dreams, and in return, he learns to live life in a completely different way. And I thought that was really cool and sweet. Also, the animation was really good. Is anime good? Have I been sleeping on anime this entire time?
No, actually, oh no. I just read what those words on that screen is. This is a horrible place to pause. But anyway, no. I would say that anime is at one point in life, right, I heard an analogy about anime from, I think it was from Gigguk actually, that I still maintain is probably the most truest thing about anime there is. Anime is swimming through a river of shit to find a few gems hidden in the stool. So many animes come out every fucking year. So many come out, and most of them are garbage that come and go, and no one even remembers they existed. They're gonna pull a muscle straining that far. The words on that screen, his fantasy is that she becomes permanently disabled and helpless and dependent on him, but can still make a sandwich. I'm sure that was in the film. As someone who hasn't seen the film, I'm sure that was exactly that. That's why he broke her legs again. Yep, that totally happened. That was totally in the film. I did not make that up on the spot.
His fantasy is that she becomes permanently disabled and helplessly dependent on him, but can still make him a sandwich. Sounds about right. Oh my god. After watching the movie, these tweets are even more insane. But even putting the movie aside, just seeing that like cute montage out of context, where the fuck are they getting this? These are very clearly just two happy people. But because the caption was the average...
Like, don't get me wrong, these men exist, but I don't want you to insert your head cannons to go away. These women also exist. I like the thing. That's the thing. Like, it's a lot of projection. It's a lot of projection and a lot of taking a small group of people and trying to extrapolate it to a whole, rather than these people just being crazy outliers that just unfortunately exist in the world. Also, I do think that some of these women are read too many Handmaid's Tale. I think it's the Harry Potter thing all over again, where they need to read another fucking book. Damn, we see who hurt you. I don't even know, like, judging by how a lot of these women aren't even in relationships, right? Like, they never get into a relationship with anyone. And they already have these opinions. I don't know if it's just that they gaslit themselves into believing that this is already true before even anything's even happened, right? Like, there are a lot of women who just, like, believe this stuff before they even talk to a man. They've never even interacted with anyone, and they believe this kind of shit. And I do think like for instance Twitter or Twitter, social media, things like that have really fucked people up into believing a lot of things that just aren't true. Is the same comment as someone commenting, stop flaunting your happiness. My dad is dead, or under some video just to enjoy, just some video for enjoying time with their father. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same kind of energy, right? Like, but whether or not they've been hurt by the relationship, or whether or not they're just jealous, kinda. They're just like, look at these people enjoying being happy. Can't have that. I'm miserable. I can't have that.
Average male fantasy. Their mind immediately goes to the darkest, worst faith interpretation of this. The problem is these people can't see any humanity in men. They can't see any humanity in humanity in general. Average male fantasy equals girlfriend with no agency who's completely physically dependent on you and forced into blanket subservience and compliance. Sounds about right. You males are weird for fetishizing physically disabled women.
Ah, yes. Subservient compliance, especially in all of those clips there, was the guy moving her around. It was the guy helping her. It was the guy helping her go out into the world, move around, all that stuff. Ah, yes. Blanket subservience. She was not allowed to, as soon as she started getting out of hand, he'd dump her out of the wheelchair until she gets back in line. Like, damn. Damn, what a darkened fantasy. At least I'm aware because I'm sick in the head. At least you're a little self-aware. You all saw how I told Chew to let me see him covered in my blood for real? I don't remember that. I don't remember I wasn't there for that part.
Average male fantasy is having a physically disabled girl that they can abuse however they want. Got it. Not to be that guy, I'm gonna be that guy. The infantilization of the physically disabled here is a little, dare I say, ableist. The implication here that people in wheelchairs cannot find love, and
it was during Marbles. Oh, right, it was. You're right.
Just loves them because.
And that's true too. That's another thing. That's another side of this. If you're gonna be that kind of person, yeah, the whole like you're in a wheelchair, thus you can't do anything sort of thing. Like you're just weak, subservient. You're basically a child. Like, yeah, that's a weird aspect to this as well. The people really do seem to look down on the physically disabled pretty hard
because they can't run away. Weird. Average men can't even be nice to their healthy and normal girlfriend. What makes you think they'll be able to handle disabled person? See,
this is a projection. This is 100% I had a bad relationship and now I'm going to project that onto everything.
As their lover.
That's 100%.
What, normal? What do you mean by normal? These people.
Twitter on people being nasty. Average day. Yeah, like I said, going on to Twitter is just a place where you go to be mad. You either go there to be mad or you go there to laugh at stupid people. It's literally the only thing. It's the only thing you got. It's all you got.
Chat. Can you believe it? Chat? I don't even live stream. Who's chat? I'm disabled, blind. So I showed this to my boyfriend. He says,
I do really find it funny how ubiquitous the idea of talking to chat is. Like even I have seen YouTube videos of commentary YouTube videos talking about chat when it's a fucking It's just a commentary thing on like the introspections about House MD, and they still call their commentators chat. Like it's really funny how ubiquitous that's become. Oh, I'm respectfully gay for her. I knew you'd like Shu.
I love you because you're you, and you make my days happier. So what if I have to drive you places or help you with cooking and cleaning? I would have done that anyway. Disability has nothing to do with it. I love you. Ma'am, I don't know how to tell you this, but your boyfriend is a rapist. Sorry you had to find out this way. You showed this as fantasy because it's—
Yes, you see a woman on a miserable woman on Twitter has come over and told you that your boyfriend's a rapist. because he likes to do things for you. Because what a manipulator.
It's not true for the majority of men who participate in abuse of disabled people. No, the fantasy is the woman appreciates his efforts to make her happy. Stop lying and abusing women and the disabled. Your meds, schizo. You don't even know that f***ing guy. What do you mean stop abusing women?
So yeah, that is the thing. Like, look at this. Fucking...
Ma'am, I don't know how to tell you this, but abuse of disabled people.
Look at this. Okay, so one comment, right?
No,
reply. Like, no, this isn't the fantasy is this.
Fantasy is the woman appreciates his efforts to make her happy. Stop lying and
accuses him of lying and abusing women and the disabled. No fucking idea who this person is. You don't know who he is. You just accused him of abusing women and the disabled. What the fuck? Does bitches be yapping like they don't know women also abuse disabled folks? Women be yapping like any of these women have ever been in a relationship and are just miserable cretins.
Abusing women and the disabled. Your meds, schizo.
This is the accurate response. Schizo, take your fucking pills. Shut up. Shut up, Schizo, take your pills.
You don't even know that fucking guy. What do you mean stop abusing women and the disabled? Bitch, who are you? Also, the majority of men participate in abuse of disabled people. Are you okay? The majority of men are not abusers. That is a very, very small minority of men. The majority of men are men that just wake up, take a
I need a drawing of this. Your meds, Schizo.
Get out of bed, take a shower, go to work, come home, and wait for GTA 6 to come out. That is the majority of men. Men commit 95% of all—
Well, most of that. Your med Schizo is added to my list. Well, technically waiting. I'm not waiting for GTA 6. I am waiting for Horde mode for Space Marine 2, but that's a different story. Men commit 95% of all rape, but okay, what does that have to do with this? Okay, but what does this have to do with the video? The rage.
Okay. Barging into the romance section of Barnes & Noble like, attention everyone! Rape! Where is that coming from?
I barge into the Barnes & Noble romance section, announce rape, do not explain yourself, walk away. You know what? That's some Chad behavior. I'll take that. That's some Chad behavior right there. Attention. Rape. That is all. and then just walks away. Just goes boop 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 boop. Why do I find that so funny? It's such fucking insane energy. And they all clapped, and I was given a golden medal for my bravery, and then I got a free dark fantasy romance novel for life. And then I got a dark fantasy romance novel where the main character gets assaulted by the dashingly handsome serial killer. reminds me of a story. What was it? It was a meme. It was a story from a meme, but it was what my kind of novel for real. I swear half this rage is coming from jealous fetishists. They want that to happen to them. Like, damn, if only I was in this hot abusive relationship with Dexter. But what was it? It was the story was a wife was doing yard work and she was listening to Audible, right? The husband was about to leave the house and go get some stuff. He gets in the car and he turns on the car, and then the Bluetooth of her phone connects to the car. Don't bring my husband Dexter into this. I knew you would be into him. I knew it. But her phone connects to the car and starts playing her audiobook of some like raunchy fucking romance novel. And she's just like, what the hell is going on? She looks at the car and it's just her husband looking back at her in shock of all the fucking depraved shit that was in that book. Just like, no fucking, I guess the thing, those romance novels get really fucking, they really, like, like they really get really bad out there. That woman's a keeper. Like, and for a bunch of people, it's like, I mean, it's the thing, like, for instance, like, where all the ugly bastard doujins, hentais, right? They're all written by women. I mean, very much, it was some statistic, like, over 90% of them in Japan are written by women. It's like, it's insane of, like, the fucking depraved shit that will come out from women in particular, which is crazy to think about, right?
So close. This is fetish content. Ah yes, the dirtiest, most taboo of all fetishes. A happy relationship.
God damn, it's like up there with fucking hand holding. God, slut. You want to hold hands in public? I swear, whore.
Honestly, in 2025, that might be true. Oh, you want a wife and kids? You sick fuck. But this is literally just a perverted fantasy, LMAO.
What about
you
it
think
is
it's a
perverted?
perverted fantasy because...
You called?
How do I put this nicely? You are a pervert. Literally seeing a cute montage of a male and female character having fun together, being in love together, and being like, rape! He's a rapist! This is a fetish! Are these people...
I mean, yeah, it does feel like projection at this point, where it's just like, this is something that you would actually prefer to be true, rather than you complaining about it. It's insane.
Okay? Stop watching porn. Wait, this is a woman. Okay, stop reading Taken by the Werewolf Billionaire. Or whatever the fuck you read. I swear to God, some of the shit women read would make the most depraved internet gooner blush. Or so I've been told. This is literally just
I've been told.
Okay, listen, I'm not gonna pretend there's a...
This reminded me of the Campbell commercial that Facebook got mad over. What was that? Tell me about that. Speak to me about it.
Nobody out there who's like, she can't run away, she has no legs. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend there's...
Well, there are some people like that, but it's usually after they broke her legs. They're usually the ones who actively broke her legs in that situation.
Nobody out there who has a crippled, disabled fetish, okay? I've been on the internet for 20 years. I've been on DeviantArt. I've seen shit you wouldn't believe. But the majority of people, probably most, if not all the people responding to this, do not have a cripple fetish, okay? In fact, her being in a wheelchair based...
Yeah, I would say that's probably a very small subsect of society that's specifically into that. But anyway. Not
has nothing to
deviant
do
art.
with it. Much like how females coom over like vampires or, like I said before, the billionaire werewolf fantasy. This is just the average male fantasy distilled down to its most extreme. So what is the average male fantasy?
Hello, Ellie.
The average male fantasy is the fantasy of both men and women alike. It is simply to love and to be
Snack time.
loved. But more specifically, the male fantasy is to be a protector and a provider for those that they love. Put a pin in this because we are going to come back to this in a big way. Trust me. The average male...
It's Windex. I think like Windex. That tastes like a bean that was literally dipped in Windex. Gross. Ew. Gay parent ad. Okay, sure, let's look at it. Boop, boop.
Dun 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 dun. Cooper, I am your father.
No, no, no. I am your father.
No, see, I can see how this made Facebook bad. Look, Ellie, it's not two gay parents abusing their child like all of Facebook believes. It's not realistic. It's just not realistic.
That's gotta be the worst Vader ever.
Campbell's Star Wars soups.
How about you be Chewbacca?
Oh, advertising butt sex on TV.
Made for real life.
Yeah, because clearly, didn't you see all the sex that was happening right there? It was so lewd. It was so lewd, so crazy. Excuse me, ma'am. What the fuck? Welcome to the shit show, Ellie. I hope you're ready. Strap in.
Male fantasy is being a globally known terrorist. The average male fan...
I'm sorry, what?
Come back to this in a big way, trust me. The average male fantasy is being a globally...
Hydrate, I will. I mean... I can't say she's wrong. I don't think she mean...
known terrorist.
My ex dead ass,
The average
though?
male fantasy is that a woman who isn't fat. The average male fantasy is actually job security.
Ugh.
You know what? These guys may have a point here. Pedophile alert. Men want disabled
Ah,
child
there
life.
it is. There it is. I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. Back up. Back up, back up, back up, back up, back up, back up. There it is. I knew it was coming. I don't know what the fuck is going on these days, but when it comes to anime and attractive women in anime, attractive anime characters, that people start immediately throwing out calling people pedophiles. It's insane.
Alert. Men want disabled child wife.
Men love fat ladies. Depends on the man. There are people who like that. Men want disabled child wives. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the person in this story is like over the age of 20.
Wives. Average male fantasy is a disabled child. More proof that men are pedos. That's a little girl. This is weird. So, first of all, she's literally older than the guy. The guy is 22 and she is 24.
Oh, okay, yeah, basically. Like I don't know what it is. Anytime it is a slender, more petite anime girl, there are so many people on Twitter specifically, who will immediately go, "That's a child." Like what? Like no, she's over the age of 20. She doesn't have like she's not a curvaceous woman. She's just short. She's just short and has small boobs. That's it. And they go literally a child. Like what the fuck?
Yes, he is practically hag maxing. And yes, she may be physically disabled, but aren't all men mentally disabled in their own special way?
I mean, yeah. All right, sure. I may have a particular fascination with Warhammer 40k. You got me there, Shu. You got me. All right. I see you there. That's more on the anime side of things. People tend to assume any attractive girl in anime are children. Yeah, but you shouldn't. And then also, again, there's the whole accusing people of being pedophiles over anime characters that aren't real. That's insane. That is an insane thing to do, and this is coming from someone whose first instinct to a pedophile is the wood chipper. All right? Like, this is that is just a silly thing to do in any way, shape, or form. To me, when it comes to anime characters and age, it's like a horror movie. Ew, ew, two adults in love, ew, ew. But like, to me, like, this is my thing about when it comes to anything involving anime, when it comes to like lolly or like their teenager or anything like that, it's like a horror movie character, right? Yeah, all the characters who are banging in a horror movie all by the story are supposed to be like 17 years old. They're 16. They're not adults yet, and they're off to summer camp, and then ooh, sexy things happen. But all the actors are like 30. All the actors in the film are like over the age of 25 to 30 years old. And to me, anime it's the same thing, right? They're not real. This whole thing's not real. These characters aren't real. They're not portrayed by real people. They're not real. None of this is real. It's all make-believe and nonsense. So going around and screeching pedophile is insane to me over anime. It doesn't make any sense.
At least the ones in my audience. They will freely admit this. Maybe she, the older woman, is taking advantage of this sensitive young man. Have you ever thought of that? She looks like an...
Hey, fan service when it comes to anime? Depends on the anime. There are some that, like, it depends on the anime, it depends on the way it's done. And I mean, I can't argue with the results, like, right? Because fan service in anime, it sells. It's a primarily male demographic. And very, very lewd women. The very, very perverted women who also like seeing sexy anime women. So, what the fuck can I say? It sells. Flat chest haters on the screen. Yeah, this is just small breasts, clearly a child.
11-year-old child. Where are her breasts? First of all, really
Roxy
weird
would hate
way
these guys.
to say that. She looks like a child. Show me her titties. Also, I love how like, when anime women have huge boobs, it's disgusting, Coomer porn brain or whatever. But if the anime woman has small boobs, she is a child and you're a chimo. Can't fucking win. Also, if she had big boobs...
That's true. That's true. People will screech about anime characters having big boobs, and they'll screech about anime characters having small boobs. You can't fucking win. You just can't win. She's a reasonably proportioned human being. Clearly a pedophile. Oh, well, she has big boobs. That's unrealistic body standards. You chauvinist. You fucking disgusting pervert. Like, fuck you. Fuck you, get out.
Boobs, they'd absolutely be like, wow, look at this sexualization of the disabled. Also, you know, like, adult women can be flat-chested, right? Like, that actually exists in real life. Like, adult human women can have small boobs. We love all titties here on the Shoe on Head channel. All titties is good titties. End of story. Women fantasy. A boyfriend with depth and a loving soft...
This is why I don't go on Twitter. Twitter is a disgusting place.
Deeply caring side of them. Men's fantasy. 12-year-old anime girl who looks and speaks like a toddler. Also notice how she's literally the shape and size of a child. Yuck. Have you people ever seen a child? No. You're all childless. Silly me. She's not even that short. She's just sitting. See, like when they're laying side by side, she's like a full-grown adult woman.
Yeah,
Why do these people look at this? And
she's only like a foot shorter than he is. When they're laying on their side like that, she's almost as tall as he is.
Immediately think of child rape. Go to therapy. And listen, I know with anime can get a little weird, right? Like, excuse me, Poo Poo Pee Pee Chan is 2,000 years old, and this is Poo Poo Pee Pee Chan. But this does not even look like a child. This looks like a cute woman. This is like a random rant, but I feel like there are no more cute women nowadays. You know what I mean? You have all like the Insta baddies, the e-thots, the e-girls, the muscle mommies, the boss babes, the boy babes. But I feel like every woman is just hot now.
The boy babe. Oh no.
Which, by the way, I don't think is healthy for the male psyche whatsoever. You shouldn't wake up and be able to scroll through pictures of, like, the hottest woman you've ever seen in your life, like, 20 times before you've had, like, your morning cup of coffee. You shouldn't log in and immediately be one-shotted by 1010s all day, as if that wouldn't make you go insane, as if that wouldn't make you crash out. Like, back in...
I think she has a point there. There is a shocking lack of just like normal cute women in the world these days. It is literally just the going straight for the hot area, as opposed to like just being like average cute. Like there's not really a lot of just average cute people out there these days. At least who aren't immediately like doing like Instagram stuff like that, you know? Like it's, I haven't really thought about that. And I had not really considered that before. That's interesting.
In the day, you'd probably see like one fine dame on your bus ride to work, and you'd think about her for 40 years until the day you die. That's how it used to be. That's how it should be. Now every woman is like a crazy, hot, unobtainable Instagram goddess with the fattest of ass. Zoomers don't know how good we had it. You'd go to Blockbuster and the 21-year-old cashier behind the counter would be...
the direct access to media has created a large unfairness. There's literally people who have traveled other countries and then go, why are all these people ugly when they don't look like models? Yeah, like, oh yeah, like that's the thing. Like they go like, all these people are all these like, oh, why are there so many ugly people out there? Oh man, everyone's so ugly, and it's just like it's not even just like going on the internet, it's just like going outside for a fucking minute, right? There are plenty of women out there who are just like they're not Instagram models, but they're still cute, right? But but because you're fucking addled on the Instagram model who fucking spent like 10 hours putting themselves together for that one picture they put out on Twitter or they put out on Instagram, right? And it's like fucking, it's filtered all straight to hell, pictured on like the best camera they could get, fucking all the makeup applied that you could possibly do, even like surgery, even they go so far as to get fucking surgery to even improve their looks, and it's just like, it's all artificial. It's all artificial. That's just making warping people's perceptions on what the average beauty standard is, on what average beauty is. It's times like this I really wish I could live without a phone. Yeah, it's times like this where I kind of see where my dad's coming from when he just says he's waiting for the solar flare to take out all of technology, and I go, yeah. You know, when I was younger, I always thought you were just crazy for saying that. But the older I get, the more I go, you know, he might have a point. he may have a point there, actually.
The most adorable woman you've ever seen. No Botox, no lip filler, just a pure soul, full of joy and whimsy. And now women are full of hate and SSRIs. But they're hot. They're hotter than they've ever been. They're hotter and more depressed than they've ever been in history. Sad. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, anime. I didn't take my Vyvanse today, could you tell? Men's fan.
Ghoul keeps going down, Ghoul keeps going down. Hope, pray, hope, pray.
See, big T wound with the face of a 16-year-old that is useful for cooking, cleaning, and sex. Women's fantasy. Gets treated like a queen and a man who keeps tracks of our periods so he can take care of us. I think I speak for a lot of women here when I say our fantasies do not, in fact, include men tracking our periods.
All right, well, we got some women in the chat here. What, you think it's hot if a man tracks your periods? He has a meticulous schedule that he knows exactly when your period's gonna happen. Do you think it's hot? Because I think that's fucking weird. because I'm gonna be honest with you, I think that's fucking weird and insane. I think that's just fucking crazy. I think it's endearing and sweet if a man cared that much. If we were that close. I don't know. I'm a different boat than you, Cookie. I think that's kind of fucking weird. I think that's the you've gotten too close. You need to back up a little bit sort of thing.
Personally, if my husband was like,
"Sir, you're
honey,
invading
just
my
a
personal
reminder,
space."
You're in your luteal phase. I'm taking the kids. Men like to pretend they want this, and then they beat their wife when dinner isn't ready or their son when he's misbehaving. First of all, I'm sorry that happened to you, but there are in fact good men out there. I've seen them.
Yeah, basically, I'm sorry that happened to you, but non-period haver, you wouldn't understand, clearly. Well, Shu agrees with me at least. Because she's saying she's taking the kids. If her husband comes over and says it keeps track of her periods, she's taking the kids. So I got one person to agree with me on that one. And she has a period.
Be in this very audience. Sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face. This is the Shoe on Head audience. You're all gremlins. Male fantasy equals a woman that can't run away from him. A woman that's dependent on him. Interesting. When men are involved, it's basic survival instinct to assume the worst. Men are guilty until they prove themselves innocent.
Ah,
you know what?
excellent.
I take my opinions back on free speech. I changed my mind. No more free speech.
Also, that's just wanting someone to care. They don't have enough understanding of what care looks like. No, I don't think they understand it at all. I agree with Shu. It's time to appeal free speech. Everyone, you lose your free speech privileges. I'm done. I'm done hearing your words. Government censorship, please come in. I'm tired of hearing these people speak.
No more free speech until you bitches learn to behave. A woman's fantasy is a man who won't rape her, and a man's fantasy is raping a woman. I'm sorry, where is the rape, ma'am? Maybe that's how you see it, because you're brainwashed to hate men. So true. I hate how, but in reality, women are the real demons here.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God damn it. We just want a happy relationship. Is it so much to ask for? Yes. Yes, it is. Oh, look,
apparently
misogynistic
so.
Gooner fantasy slop written by misogynistic Gooner men. This is why 70% of anime is garbage. So, here's the thing. That, misogynistic Gooner fantasy slop written by misogynistic Gooner men was actually written by Saiko Tanabe. A woman. Woman wrote this story. And I feel like a very important detail everyone is sleeping on when they covered this was the fact that this is very much the female fantasy as well. A man loving you for who you are despite your flaws, literally sweeping you off your feet and carrying you around on adventures, helping you live out your dreams, face your fears, and supporting you through the good and bad times. You're going to sit here and tell me that's not the female fantasy too? Is this—
Apparently not. Apparently it just involves a lot of rape.
It's not the basic female fantasy? Is this not the knight in shining armor coming to rescue you and falling in love with you? Why on earth are so many women so mad at this? Are men now the hopeless romantics? Are men now the ones yearning for a fairy tale romance? Is this why all the Disney remakes are like, she's not gonna be saved by the prince, she's a strong, independent woman? Meanwhile, men still want to be the prince, men still want to be the knight in shining armor. Men are like, I will save you from your monotonous 9-to-5 job. I will give you a house and babies. And women are like, no, I must be an actuarial consultant. Be gone, vile misogynist. Is that what
is... Be gone, misogynist. I must stay at my desk. It does seem that way, doesn't it? At least if you hang around on Twitter, it does seem like a lot of people just fucking... A lot of women, especially if you look at the women in this fucking, on this post, they seem to really hate the idea of a fucking... of a normal fantasy. men and women are allowed to have healthy romance. It's, oop, hold on. I think someone's breaking down my door for being open-minded. I'll see you after getting canceled. It's not even open-minded. It's just like, they're breaking down your door for fucking stating a normal thing. But like I refuse to accept that what they say on this post is not just a fringe, crazy subsect of people who are terminally internet brained and stuck on Twitter, right? I don't believe for a singular fucking second that most women would not love to have this kind of relationship as well. Right? I don't believe that. That and people unwilling to heal. Or just want to wallow, I guess would be the way to put it. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Is occurring here. Also, that aside, there literally is a gender-swapped version of this story called Perfect World. It is a manga. Manga? Mango?
Manga.
Oh, no, do not come for me, weebs. Men will statistically leave their
Get my
wives and
spear.
partners the moment they find out they're disabled or have a life-threatening condition. You're right, it is a fantasy. Actually, that study was debunked by the authors themselves, who admitted they did the math wrong. It's actually not much higher, but then again, even if it was, and it happens, I've seen it happen to people, it's terrible. Marriage should be through sickness and through health, but that's not really the point here. And the fact that so many people
I'm suffering, then you have to suffer as well, is a very tiring mindset on the internet. It likes to enable it. Seems so. It seems the internet really likes to spiral into despair. And yeah, this person's quoting a study that study about the people leaving as soon as someone gets sick or disabled in a relationship. That study wasn't true. And that study was incorrect. And yeah, even though it happens, right? Yeah, sure, it does happen. But what the fuck does that have to do with this?
People are focusing on the wheelchair part of this just proves that they just don't get it. The ones of pure mind and pure soul get it, but these fucking semen demons out here, they don't get it.
The fucking semen demons. Yeah, that's true. Like, there's a ton of focus on the disabled part of the relationship, but not like the actual relationship itself. The wheelchair doesn't matter. The new Uzi Gang title, Semen Demons.
But not all semen demons. The amount of people in comments who just don't get that men want a cute, loving girlfriend is beyond me. They call them creeps for wanting actual love and not a girl boss who only wants your money. Ah, thank you, a sane person. Hopefully the replies aren't full of people calling her a pick-me. Pick-me alert, least obvious pick-me.
There it is.
Pick me, please. Hope he picks you, sis. Pick
There
me,
it is.
me.
That's another thing I've noticed a lot too. As soon as a woman, like, that's the thing too. These women are so fucking cliquey. As soon as one woman states like an opinion that does not align, align with them. They immediately start calling her a fucking pick me. They immediately start going, I hope she picks you, bro. I hope she picks you, sis. Fucking pick me, pick me, pick me. Like, oh, God forbid she does not fucking agree with you. Like, and there's so much of that. It's insane.
An incel could have written this. Fuck. Why are so many VTubers either pick-me's or racist? You mean why do so many female VTubers disagree with you? Why so many aren't towing the mainstream liberal feminist NPC line? Because they can. See, the most powerful weapon women have against other women is social.
Pick-me's are a lot easier to pick than that, buddy. I don't know about that.
Liberal feminist NPC line because they can. See, the most powerful weapon women have against other women is social ostracization. You don't want to be seen as a pick-me or a racist, so you keep your mouth shut in order to survive in female social circles. But in the cases of VTubers, virtual YouTubers, they're basically anonymous. They can say anything they want. They're basically wearing a mask. They're free from the chains of the eternal HR Longhouse. But apparently, even being anonymous online does not save them, because they still get doxxed for simply not hating shaming men. Lovely. Maybe I should save this rant for a different video someday.
That is, I have no idea about this because I'm not a woman. Like, from what I've heard Shu talk about this a couple times. The female social circles sound fucking brutal to be a part of. They sound really fucking brutal to be a part of sometimes. Lots of purity spirals, lots of towing the line of whatever the group think is correct, and the ostracization if you step out of line sounds incredibly rough. Oh, it is. Oh, thank God, it is true. I wouldn't be able to deal with it. I would not be able to deal with it. It's one of the reasons I'm thankful that a lot of the women I know are all VTubers. The only women I know outside of my family are all VTubers. They're all VTubers, and they don't act normal. I can't say any of them act normal, but I can say you act a lot more fucking reasonable.
Moving on. Men are why we can't have nice things, by the way. First of all, men make all the things. Thank you. Also, I just realized it was a man saying that. It was a whole-ass man saying men are why we can't have nice things. I don't deserve this trophy. This is for you, sir. This is for you. I'm not worthy. Listen, I make women jokes.
Oh no, it's a male pick me.
I'm very critical of feminism and propaganda aimed at women. But you will never catch me in a million years saying some like women are why we can't have nice things. I have a mom, I have female family members, I have female friends, maybe one day I'll have a daughter. Women make the world a beautiful place and, like men, can be flawed and deserve criticism, like anyone else. But there's something genuinely so cucked about people who put down their own gender or race. Oh God, race. Self-hating white people. Don't get me started on self-hating white people. White people are so evil. I hate being white. White people can't dance. White people food is so gross. You're not getting into Wakanda, bro. You're not getting invited to the cookout. Enough. But yeah, women are not the only ones.
There will be no cookout for you. Feminine social circles are like walking into a circle of invisible line dynamite strapped to your chest. Oh God. I would not be able to handle that. I had a problem
with this. There were a lot of men who didn't quite relate to this being the average male fantasy. It's fine to love the disabled. I didn't need to remind.
I'm sorry, Karl Marx. When the fuck did you get involved? Excuse me, Karl Marx. I see. I knew it. Karl Marx, the fucking communism, my mortal enemy. I knew you were involved here. I see you brought the socialist revolution to this damn anime chat about the happy relationship. It's all coming together. It's so dumb. Find the love to disabled. You mean people? No. They're not people. They're disabled, Cookie.
So Blood Claws can still have 20 models in a unit. Thunderwolves Cavalry are still here, but all of their characters were moved to Legends. So were the Cyber Wolves. And unless I missed it, I didn't see either the Long Fangs or Sky Claws, despite being mentioned earlier in the Codex.
Ah, shit. So 50-50, huh? Hey, Bastion. Bastion saved me. We're watching Shoe on Head, and apparently, watching an anime about wanting a loving relationship is certainly Marxist propaganda. What's Cookie's doing? We're learning.
I knew that, but you glorify it? This anime is certainly Marxist propaganda. The movie is about him taking a job as her caretaker, and when he learns of her dreams, he makes it his mission to help her dreams come true. So it is Marxist propaganda to help a disabled person pursue their dreams? Yeah, it's woven in. Empathy is the target of...
And the movie's great too. I haven't seen the movie. We're watching this video. I was there when the post blew up in the first time around, right? And I watched a lot of the crazy shit. But I apparently missed a lot of fucking crazy shit. Apparently I wasn't... Empathy is propaganda now. Yeah, being empathetic is clearly just propaganda. And Marxist propaganda. That, the fucking communists are here. I knew it. I knew Karl Marx was writing fucking romance animes. I knew he wasn't dead.
Propaganda. Marxism is when girl in wheelchair. I love this. Empathy is the target of propaganda. Every piece of media that makes you feel empathy is communism. Political brain rot. If you're at the point where you see this and you're thinking of communism,
I can't care about your back pain anymore. It's propaganda. You can always give in to communism, Cookie. No, but no, I understand. It's better dead than red. I understand. I understand, Cookie.
You need to log off. You are unwell. I'm sorry, but when I read...
Yeah, that's a you need to go find a fucking therapist. I do empathy blackmail, but being Marxist propaganda is wild. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. When I reproduce, hold on. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, but when I reproduce, I don't want a high probability of my offspring being mentally or physically. We need a better class of incels whose bar is higher than the. This is so fucking stupid. For starters, it's lyrical. I'm sorry, it's Panther now. Panther Raid. Hello, Panther. Prepare for pain. Yes. Tell me, what were you doing? What were you playing? What were you streaming? What were you up to? We have been here watching a shoe-on head video about the average male fantasy. And, oh boy, Twitter posts are terrible. They are awful, but very funny. Don't worry about the pinned message. But it's just wild. Well, if you can read what's on the screen right now. By the way, this is in relation to... Can I pull up the video really quick? What was the video called? Bastion, can you remember what the movie was called? I can't remember what the damn anime movie was called. But it was about the anime. It was about an anime movie about a relationship between a man and a woman. The woman is disabled. She needs a wheelchair to get around, and the guy gets assigned as her caretaker, and they end up falling in love with each other. Josie and the fish. Hold on, Josie. I want to show the exact Josie, the fish, and the tiger, scene compilation. Will that help? Not the accident scene. Not the beach. I just want to like the I don't want to spoil too. I don't want to spoil anything. But anyway, Sweeney Todd. Yeah, Sweeney Todd. Exactly. But anyway, so it was just a series of like really sweet clips of this romance movie that's called Josie, the Tiger, and the Fish. That's what it's called. And And apparently people had some wild takes about this clip. The post that was originally put on Twitter was called, "This is the average male fantasy." That this is just what men want in a relationship, a healthy relationship with a woman. And the first half of this, right, was about the women's perspective on this, the terrible women takes on this, which involve a lot of people accusing the guy of raping her, despite the fact that they were in a healthy relationship and nothing happened. And there was none of that. It was all crazy fanfic stuff. And now we're on the male side of it. And now we're on the men's section of it, where we get to hear the ridiculous things the men are saying as well. And judging by this post right here, it's gonna get painful before it gets better. Bunch of incels, basically. Well, basically, you just have a bunch of men hating women, and you have a bunch of incels. It's divided by gender, divided by sex, evenly down the line. And we're laughing at it with Shu, because it's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that it's just, and there's nothing else. There's nothing you can do but laugh, right? There's no real like, look at this post. How do you argue against this aside from just laughing at this person? Look at this ridiculous thing that he has just said. Look at this ridiculous thing. And all I can do is laugh. Like, what else can I say? This is dumb. What was it? Here, this one too. There was this one right here that was, it's fine to love the disabled. I don't need to remind you of that. But to glorify it, this anime is almost certainly Marxist propaganda. To have a healthy relationship with a woman is Marxist propaganda. Of course. How silly of me. How naive of me. To not realize that the romance anime was just Marxist propaganda. Like, as she said after this bit, people just need to log off of Twitter. They need to log off of Twitter, and they need to go find some help.
Spinal injury, that's not genetic. Also, what is this LARP? I love how everyone is just kind of having like a normal conversation about this clip. And this guy just comes out of nowhere like, I would never put my pure white seed in such a vile creature. Like, you absolutely know this guy has a non-white girlfriend. They all do. All these like, I hate white people women always have white boyfriends. All these.
Okay, I gotta go. Moving to a new apartment tomorrow. Thank you for the lurk, Panther. You go take care of yourself and have fun with your new apartment.
I hate non-white people, boys. Always have non-white girlfriends. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it too many times. I guarantee you when this man logs off of his Black Sun Roman statue Twitter account, he's clapping Latina booty cheeks. My fantasy is not being a simp, but okay. Fellas, is it
It's, that is shockingly a thing that happens quite a lot. I don't know why. It just kind of is just kind of a thing that comes up.
Simping to love a woman? Nah, this is not the.
Yes. It's if you love a woman, simp. Clearly, you're a simp. You should just hate all of them. just hate all women. That's the only non-simp position you can have. What? You like women? That sounds kind of gay. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm just kind of broken at this point. No, it's not male.
That man is a beta male. If she wasn't in a wheelchair, she would leave him for Chad. Fellas.
The incel argument. Yes. All women are just Stacy's. Yes, of course. I'm familiar with that argument.
Is it beta to love a woman? This is not my fantasy. This is some gay shit, to be honest. Fellas, is it gay to love a woman?
Man, that's pretty gay. I don't know what to say. I don't know, man. Sounds kind of gay. What, you're into women?
But no pussy does to a motherfucker. Brother, I've seen what pussy does to a motherfucker. And it's far worse. The average male fantasy is taking care of their crippled wife. I don't think I've ever had that fantasy before. I thought it was gonna be about going on some quest to kill the dragon to win the princess or something. It is. That is the average male fantasy. But there are no dragons to slay. There are no princesses to save.
Unfortunately, we live in the worst times where there are no cyber dragons to slay, and the cyber barbarians are not roaming the nuclear wastelands of the Mojave Desert. So we have to wait. We have to wait until that time comes. But anyway, in the meantime, what good hussy does to a motherfucker.
But there is that little old lady in the grocery store who can't quite reach that top shelf. There's that heavy box the pretty girl you work with can't quite lift herself. There's that jar of tomato.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like the quote dragon slaying fantasy of men. It just wanting to be helpful. Like that is the average male fantasy, is just wanting to help people, wanting to be useful. Pantherade, hello, Blue. Welcome to hell. I hope you enjoy your stay. Greetings. Welcome to hell. We're seeing the most cursed of Twitter posts. I was trying to think of the right word for it. You love the update model? Thank you, Blue. Yeah, I love it. I love it too. It's really nice. It goes. even has all the toggles with my hat and my jacket.
If you aren't huddling with your homie for warmth under your blankets in the dark of night, away from all prying eyes, you're gay.
Yes, of course. How silly of me. You're gay. Twitter hates you because you're pink. I knew it. I knew Twitter would hate me. We have a white bean with yellow spots. Ooh, a perch. That was rotten egg. Oh god, that was rotten egg. That is probably the worst bean imaginable. Ah, you found a tire cookie. Should we use that if you're from hell? There's just some things you can't get used to. There are some things you can't get used to, Blue, and one of them is rotten egg beans. You don't seem to be having good luck with beans. Yeah, first we had Windex, and now we have bean. Now we have an egg. It's terrible. I'm going to convert that into a swing. You're going to have to pay a tax for that. Hydrate. Oh man, I didn't. No. The bean boozled. I haven't paid my taxes. They can't pay you. They can't make you now. Cookie, how dare you not pay IRS, Chan? Let's try again. Can't be unlucky all the time. I bet we can. It's a green bean with even greener spots. It's grass. It's grass. Not that bad, but still grass. You're only getting the good ones. Ah, yes. Hold on. Let me get some water. I need to bring some water in here. I'll be right back. Be right back. There we go. Ah, here we go. when someone says go touch grass, then that's how you keep the grass inside you for all times. And you guys go out there and you touch the grass. I keep the grass inside me, so I'm always touching it. It's called having a strategy. Let's make out.
Tomato sauce your wife can't quite open. There's that Lego set your little son can't quite put together himself. Or there is this paraplegic girl who wants to see the ocean. This is the Princess and the Dragon story. And despite what many are told, men do have a lot of love to give. And they want some kind of excuse or mechanism to show that love. In a world where men expressing themselves is either seen as toxic or gay. And one way of expressing that love is solving problems. Men fucking love solving problems. I don't know what it is. They also love reading Wikipedia articles.
That is true. If you ever need something, men like to solve problems. And so it's also why one of those things that they're not very good. Why they're not very good at listening to women, because women. It's not that they don't like to solve problems, but women like to talk about a problem, and men like to solve a problem, right? And so it's usually why in some relationships when men and women end up clashing so much sometimes. But men, as I'm speaking of a man myself, solving a problem for someone is just a mechanism to show affection. That is what it is. Women are already solving it. They just need to be heard. Yeah, basically. But when they talk to about someone else, a woman like let's say when a woman wants to talk about someone else, like someone who bugs them or something like that, a man saying that you're talking to you talk to them and they're just like, okay, is there like a problem that needs to be solved here? Is there something I can do? Can I offer some advice or something like that? A woman already has the problem in hand, right? They already have the problem solved. They just want someone to express it to someone. But then that kind of causes conflict because the man's trying to like solve the problem because he thinks that you have a problem, right? And then it's like, but no, you don't actually have a problem. Yeah. You've done that with me before. Sexist. I'll keep doing it to you. I will mansplain you into oblivion, Cookie. Take my better advice.
A lot of times I walked over and my husband is reading a random fucking Wikipedia article about like the world's tallest buildings or like a random battle in World War II. I didn't know if this was autism or what, but apparently.
Oh, but like the there was a meme going around. I have this meme saved in my phone, but I'm not gonna bring it out for this. It was basically a woman trying to get a man to do something, and instead of just like having him do it, he's just like, explain to me how you do this, right? How do you do this? And he like enthusiastically jumps off the couch to explain how to hang a mirror, and he just like goes through all the details. He does all the steps and shows her how to do it. And I just loved explaining things to her and like explaining the process of how to hang a mirror. And he's just like, wait a minute, you've been asking me to explain a lot of things to you, and I also think that you've asked me before how to hang a mirror. Are you just asking me to? Are you just gaslighting me? And it just goes, what's gaslighting, hun? And he just starts going through and explaining what gaslighting is, and she's just oh no, I feel needed. How gay. That's just Marxist propaganda. That's all that is, Cookie.
Apparently it's a men thing. Anyway, yes, men love solving problems. And in a world that makes them feel useless, makes them feel like they have no purpose, men desperately feel like they need to prove their worth. They are desperately looking for a purpose in life. So it is not at all shocking to me that the modern young man is seeing a clip like this and longing for this. A lot of modern men don't have a chance to prove themselves, to make something of their lives. They don't have a chance to provide anything for anyone because they don't have anything to provide and they don't have anyone. They are doing everything their grandfathers did, but seeing none of the results. They're lost. What can they provide? And as I said earlier, her being in a wheelchair is the protector and provider instinct taken to a extreme. And yes, it is a fantasy, considering if you ask anyone who's actually in a wheelchair, they know it's not all butterflies and rainbows, and they know that.
Right, yeah, they don't explain it. The movie, from what I can tell from the clips, they definitely don't have the you know, they don't go to the nitty gritty parts, right?
That it's hard on relationships. It can be difficult on their partner. But just like in the movie, it's not shown as butterflies and rainbows. Josie feels like a burden. But towards the end of the movie, the guy takes on that burden. Not because he gets something in return, but because it's his duty. Because it makes her happy, which makes him happy in return. Loyalty, duty, virtue, acts of service, big or small. Men live for that shit. And yes, these are stereotypes. Not everyone fits into these boxes, blah, 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 blah. But for the...
It's averages, right? That's why it says the average male fantasy. Not everyone's going to fall into that, right? But this is some shit that a lot of men really go for. Like, they love that shit. The only real problem is the legal repercussions of falling in love with your patient. But yeah, well, that's a whole other thing. That goes over there with the Marxist propaganda cookie.
For the most part, it's true. When many men look at this relationship, that is what they see. And a lot of modern women are looking at this relationship and being disgusted because, in a way,
my male fantasy is digging a hole.
Inverse of the strong, independent woman.
To build fortifications and siege works from which no army could assail me from. That is my fantasy. I'll be sitting there like the Lord of Iron upon my bastion, ready for the world.
They've been sold. They've been told they need to be the modern woman crafted by modern Disney for modern audiences. Unlike the Hollywood crafted modern woman, this woman does need her man. She is not strong and she's not independent, at least physically. This doesn't mean she's like an empty vessel with no thoughts or freedom. No, in fact, in the movie, Josie does roll away from him a few times. It is a fantasy not because of a power imbalance, but because the man has a tangible purpose, and the woman is willing.
The closest you'll get is me biting your ankles under your desk. How dare you besmirch my dreams.
And lovingly letting him fulfill that purpose.
Because I can depend on you. I know that if I ever feel frightened, I can just reach out to you.
Men simply want something good to die for, to make it beautiful to live. This manifests in a lot of ways, but the most common is having a loving partner and/or a family. Something unobtainable to many people nowadays. So yes, literally one of the most normal things ever is becoming a fantasy. Sad. Also, men will deny this, but they absolutely have a biological clock. It may not hit in your teens or your 20s, but one day you're going to have a dream. You have a little daughter making you pancakes with your wife in the morning, and you're not going to be able to get it out of your head. And that is the male biological clock. Everything you do, the money you make working that grating 9-to-5.
Damn, just that one scene had me tearing up. Oh no, Cookie's gonna go watch this movie. Cookie's gonna go watch this movie. I'm gonna hear about it. She's gonna be sending me messages like 4 a.m. going, Crooked! Crooked, I'm crying! Bet.
I'll
be asleep. It will get nothing out of me.
More important than yourself one day. You will come home to a warm and happy home, greeted by people who care about you, and love you, and rely on you, and everything will make sense then. Until then, you'll just be on the internet, being called a misogynist, for wanting something bigger and more important than yourself. For
what a time to be alive.
And normal. And that is the average male fantasy. That and 3 hot chicks at once. Hell yeah, brother!
Hell yeah!
So that was that little video.
Hell yeah!
Comments, let me know. Am I correct? Is that the average male fantasy? Or is it not that deep? Men and women in the comments, what is your fantasy? And no, I don't mean that. I don't want to hear about how you want to be crushed by a 12-foot futa. That is between you and God, not you and Shoehornhead. I mean, what is your ultimate dream? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want a nice big family one day? Do you want to own a farm? Do you want to live in a shed in the woods and make...
Have you seen the 3 weed-smoking girlfriend threads? No, I've never seen that.
Pipe bombs? Let me know in the comments and I will see you soon with a new video.
Alright, so that was that video. What do you guys think of it? I thought it was very good. I thought it was very good, and also a very good case for why you should really just not go on Twitter, or at the very least, if you're going on Twitter, you really need to clean out your fucking timeline and start like censoring words out of your timeline, using those fancy little tools that get put into that no one pays attention to really just like fucking start blocking people. I'm gay for her, respectfully. And see, I thought you would like Shu. I was quite certain you would like Shu. She's She's a funny girl. She's a funny girl. But yeah, she's funny. She's sweet. And she's very insightful. She's very insightful. I just don't use Twitter. As I said, at the very least, like if you feel like you have to be on Twitter, right? If you're like in my position, you're a VTuber, you want to advertise yourself, so you use the Twitter, or you're streaming to Twitter right now, like I am. Use those fancy tools that you got access to really just like make it easier on yourself. Really, just clean up your timeline, filter out all the crazy people or the stupid stuff you don't want to see or what don't want to be bothered by. Makes it just makes your life a lot fucking easier. People getting too confident behind their keyboards. If only there was a reality warping gremlin here who could appear behind them and tell. But anyway, let's watch some scary, interesting. I watched some already. That was the next thing I was gonna watch, was some scary, interesting. It's me. You're gonna grab them from mine and go, it's nothing personal, kid, and then send them into the warp. Now. That's a new thing up here. There's no AI generated content used. Interesting. I guess that's just a thing you kind of have to say these days. It's I would say it's nothing personal, but it entirely is, says Cookie. Scary, interesting, if you do not know, is a little, I guess I would say, a horror channel where it talks about real cases of horror in the world. Scary disappearances, creepy disappearances, horrible fates where where horrible deaths happen, cave incidences, mining accidents, that kind of stuff. He presents it very well, and I makes good content. I used to show quite a bit of his stuff back like a year ago or so. And then I kind of probably just say true crime, true horror for real, basically. I guess it would be the true crime of horrible things that have happened in the world, I guess. And I used to show his content quite a lot back in the day. And I decided that we get back into that. We get back into showing some more of his stuff, because I love his stuff. He makes good stuff.
Welcome back to Scary Interesting, and to another edition of the most disturbing disappearances. If you imagine the worst place to ever disappear after enduring the most horrific end, you'd likely arrive at something similar to what happened to the person in the final story. So although the events in this video are fleeting and non-descriptive, they are still highly disturbing, and viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Well, you heard him, viewer discretion advised, even though this is an 18+ stream. If those of weaker constitution may want to leave the arena.
Water is a beautiful 3-mile-long glacial lake located in England's majestic Lake District National.
What the fuck kind of water? Wast. What kind of name is that? It's got me bugged, all right? Wast. Hey, I think the river monster guy went there once. Did he? This guy's voice is a gender.
Park.
Is it a gender you're into,
260 miles
Cookie?
northwest of London. And although the lake isn't particularly deep by most standards, at about 260 feet deep, it's actually the deepest lake in the entire country.
Really?
As a result, it's always been popular with amateur military and police divers and professional search and rescue divers as a place to.
Really? I thought the loch was a deeper lake. How deep is the loch? Where's the Loch Ness Monster Lake? Monster Lake. What's that lake called? Yeah, Loch Ness. How deep is Loch Ness? Because I thought Loch Ness was the deepest lake there. How deep is Loch Ness in feet? Loch Ness has the deepest point of 754 feet, according to the website dictated by Loch Ness Facts. This is equivalent to 230 meters. How much did you say this one was?
At about 260 feet deep, it's actually the deepest lake
No, he's at 260 feet
in the entire country. As a result,
I guess they're not counting. I guess they're not counting. They're not counting Ireland as part of the same country. Scotland is not being part of the same country as England. They're very based, I would say.
Amateur military and police divers and professional search and rescue divers as a place to train and explore the lake. In October of 1976, a group of divers who regularly visit the lake came across a large bundle resting on an underwater ledge adjacent to the deepest part.
Oh! Lochs and lake aren't the same thing. Oh! I thought they were. I have this Google page pulled up right next to me. Oh, what's the difference between a loch and a lake then? Difference? I didn't know! Sue me! Difference between a loch and... just literally the first fucking post. What's the difference between a loch and a lake? A loch is a Scottish Gaelic word for lake, commonly used in Scotland and Ireland. Lake is a more general English term worldwide. Loch and lake is the primary difference between loch and lake is location and terminology. Both refer to a body of water surrounded by land. No, it's the same word. Heyo, flip. No, it's the same. It's just they call it lochs in Scotland instead of lakes, but loch and lake are the same thing. Okay, so there isn't a difference. Heyo, flip. I just learned that there is no difference between loch and lake. How you doing? We're just watching some scary interesting.
Part of the lake. The oval-shaped object was approximately 3 feet long and 1.5 feet wide, but it was surprisingly heavy for its size. The divers had no idea what was inside, but the outside was wrapped with fabric and carpet and bound together with a rope and electrical tape.
Of course, they don't combine two countries into one, you silly guy. You silly, goofy lad. It says the lady who can't spell two. Well, I thought they would be considered. They would combine it together for the UK because it's Ireland, Scotland, and England are all part of the UK. Sexist.
Afterward, they also removed this bundle from the ledge and swam with it to improve their stamina and to test whether they'd be able to haul an incapacitated diver to the surface in an emergency situation. Then, when they were
just carry
done,
the big
they always
rock.
put it back where they found it. Surprisingly, they apparently didn't think this was odd or suspicious because locals often wrapped deceased pets in rugs and blankets, weighed them down with rocks or bricks, and then disposed of them in the lake. And
That's
in
a weird
fact,
thing to
divers
do.
Regularly came across packages like this over the years, although most of them were significantly smaller and lighter than the big bundle on the ledge.
Oh.
Several years later,
Oh, that's a body. Oh. Okay, so they're just picking up this body. That's a body. They're just picking it up and carrying it around going, what's this strange body-like bag in the bottom of the lake? Oh, it must be an animal.
1983, a 21-year-old French tourist vanished while hiking the lake, and she was a physically fit young woman who regularly hiked in the French Alps. She also didn't speak much English, but she had a knack for making friends and planned to complete a moderately difficult hike with the group she met that day. But somewhere along the line, she got separated.
Drop my lunch. You dropped it in the lake.
The other hikers initially assumed she just went off to explore on her own and that she'd catch up with them later, but they began to get seriously worried that afternoon when she failed to show up at the post-hike rendezvous point.
I can't believe you just grabbed this random woman off this hiking trail, Cookie. That's insane. Very misogynist
Then
of you.
when her parents in Paris hadn't heard from her 2 days later, they contacted the local authorities and reported her missing. Afterward, alpine search and rescue teams, tracking dogs, divers, and aircraft all participated in one of the largest searches in park history, but no sign of her was found in or around the lake.
That's creepy.
In late February of the following year, an amateur diver came across the large bundle in Wasp water that other divers had been using as a practice weight since October of 1976. But unlike the other divers, he immediately reported it to the police because he thought it might contain the body of the hiker. Police divers then retrieved it that afternoon, and it only took a few snips and a little unwrapping to determine that it did in fact contain human remains.
Wait, but the timeline doesn't. They've been using. I guess they're not using that exact bag, right? Like there's just one that he meant that they just use bags in that area since 1976, because she disappeared in 1980. It said 1983.
Nobody knew who the poor woman inside was or how long she'd been in the lake, but it didn't look like she'd been dead for very long because there was almost no decomposition. Even her mascara was apparently in nearly pristine condition. However,
geez.
What was immediately apparent was that it couldn't possibly be the tourist because the woman in the bundle was clearly
Behave
middle-aged.
yourself, I refuse.
The case then took another unexpected turn when investigators discovered that she was wearing a wedding ring. And upon closer inspection, they found that it bore the inscription Margaret 15-11-63 Peter. This woman would come to be known as Margaret, and her background is a bit of a mystery. But we know that she married Peter Hogg on Friday, November 15th, 1963, and that their names and the date were inscribed on her wedding ring.
Okay, so this is not the person who went missing. This is another person that they found in the lake?
Peter was 19 years older than Margaret, and at the time he was an airline pilot and she was a stewardess. Peter and Margaret worked for a number of airlines over the years, and they eventually had 2 children and settled into comfortable upper middle class lives. Unfortunately, their relationship was already struggling in 1973 when Margaret began having an affair with an American banker she met on a transatlantic flight.
Of course she was.
Peter apparently found out about it almost immediately because Margaret openly flaunted it. Afterward, he did his best to turn a blind eye to the infidelity for the sake of their children, but she apparently threw the affair in his face whenever she got the chance. It's not really clear what caused the initial rift between them or what kind of husband Peter was, but soon enough, the tension in the home was set to be unbearable. This was made slightly more bearable because they weren't always home together because they had busy schedules, but when they were, they argued constantly. And again, at some point, Margaret began...
that's just terrible. I mean, at that point, you might as well just break up. If you can't even fucking stay together in the same house together, like it, to the point without arguing constantly, like at that point, breaking up for the sake of the children is probably more of an argument than staying together for the sake of the children at that point.
Regularly bringing up the affair just to get a rise out of Peter. This then often escalated until things even got physical. But even so,
Jesus.
Margaret and Peter stayed married and continued living together for 3 more unimaginably long years.
That's insane.
That was until the situation finally boiled over one evening in October of 1976, when she casually strolled through the front door after a week-long vacation in Dorset with her affair partner. And then, after that, Margaret was just out of his life and the lives of their children. Peter told friends and family that she ran off with another man, but he waited nearly a month before calling the police and reported her missing. Shortly thereafter, he met a local solicitor to initiate divorce proceedings. The police did what they could to track Margaret down, but it's worth pointing out that there was also absolutely no evidence at the time to suggest that she was in danger or that a crime had been committed. As far as police knew, she ran off with another man, like Peter said. So, investigators had no choice but to put the case on the back burner, and by mid-1977, everyone assumed that Margaret was gone for good.
Okay, so he killed her. So she's dead.
By the time she was found, nearly 8 years had passed since her disappearance.
Jesus.
The details of the discovery were then broadcast on a handful of local news programs, and shortly after, a number of Margaret's friends and family members came forward to confirm that the ring was hers. Later, marriage and dental records also confirmed that Margaret married Peter Hogg on November 15th, 1963, and that she was the woman in the bundle. By then, investigators also knew
But what about the French
that
woman?
Her husband Peter reported her missing in November of 1976. They then surprised him by showing up at his home and telling him that Margaret's body had been found. He adamantly denied having to do with her disappearance or her death, but a subsequent search of the home revealed bloodstains under the carpet in the master bedroom, as well as a rope and cloth that were identical to what the killer used to bind the bundle.
Why the fuck did you keep that? You fucking idiot. Why you 8 years? 8 fucking years you kept that. Why? Like, oh, I killed my wife. Here's the blood on here's the blood on the carpet. Well, I might as well keep the carpet. The carpet's expensive, you know. Fucking throw that shit away, you idiot. Burn it.
The 57-year-old was then arrested and charged with Margaret's murder on Sunday, March 4th, 1984.
That's just incompetence right
guilty,
there.
During his trial in London, his solicitor tried to portray him as a long-suffering family man who'd endured years of it.
Even killers have ADHD. I'm currently procrastinating filing my nails.
Infidelity, torment, and provocation from his vicious, cold-hearted wife.
It's all those fucking true crime documentaries. They fucking stopped him. It would always be like, all right, I'll get to that in a minute after this episode.
Then when her affair partner took the stand, he told the court about their vacation in Dorset the week before her disappearance. He also said that as far as he was concerned, her abrupt return must have been the spark that set off the violent altercation that ultimately led to her death. And in light of the physical and circumstantial evidence against him, Peter eventually realized that his only hope was to confess and throw himself at the mercy of the court. He then began by telling the judge and jury about the argument he and Margaret got into as soon as he walked in the door that night. A few minutes later, he claimed that she did what she always did. She berated him, demeaned him, threw things at him, punched and scratched him, and kicked him in the groin.
Oh, man.
Then, when he couldn't bear it any longer, he punched her, grabbed her around the neck, and held on for far too long. Peter said that he came to his senses a few seconds later, but that Margaret fell to the floor when he released his grip. At that moment, he knew what he had done and that he had a very important decision to make. On one hand, he could turn himself in, risk spending the rest of his life in prison, and leave his 2 young children motherless and fatherless. Or he could dispose of her body, report her missing, deny knowing anything about her disappearance, and hope for the best. That night, he placed a dry clean bag over her body, bound her in the fetal position.
Well, shit, that escalated quickly.
Around a concrete block, wrapped her in fabric and an old carpet, and cinched the bundle together with rope and electrical cable. Then he loaded the bundle and an inflatable rubber dinghy into his trunk and set out on an overnight drive 270 miles to the north. Just before sunrise, he rowed out into what he thought was the deepest part of the lake and pushed the bundle into the cold, dark water.
I mean,
Peter also told the jury,
honestly, if you're going for that far, you might as well take the dinghy out to sea a little bit and then dump the body in the ocean.
that it was the longest day of his life and that he was so nervous that he almost fell out of the boat while disposing of Margaret's body. And in the end, he said he didn't commit murder because he had killed her in the heat of the moment without malice or forethought. And afterward, after an unexpectedly short deliberation, the jury apparently agreed. To the horror of Margaret's friends and family, they found Peter guilty of manslaughter instead of the far more serious charge of murder. When it was all said and done, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for manslaughter and another year for obstructing a coroner and committing perjury during the divorce proceedings that he initiated shortly after Margaret's death. Margaret's body probably would have disappeared forever if it hadn't come to rest on the narrow ledge adjacent to the deepest part of the lake. If it hadn't, it's unlikely that Peter ever would have been charged with her murder. And as for the missing Frenchwoman...
Wow, that's... What? Really? Like, yeah, I killed her, but I didn't do it. I didn't mean to. Like, okay. Like, 4 years. That's not that long for murder. It's crazy. Assuming what he said is true, it's a valid crash out. Yeah, true, but that's assuming what he's saying is true. Which, I mean, kind of hard to say at this point. If you're gonna do that, crocodile-infested waters would be better, probably. Yeah, something that would dispose of the body or something. That would just be way better than. But like I said, he was just incredibly unlucky that there was just this outcropping of rock that was just under where he was, where her body landed. Because if she had been a bit more over, if he had been just if he just been like a foot over, her body would have fallen into 260 feet down, and no one would have ever found his body. No one would have ever found the body. But what happened to the French hiker?
That helped solve the case, a 53-year-old hiker found her remains in a boulder field 1,000 feet above Wast Water in May of 1985. Marks and injuries found on her remains indicated that she was likely killed from a fall of great height.
Oh. Oh. Okay. So a random French woman randomly falls off and dies somewhere, which then sparks off the coincidental finding of a body in the lake on a completely unrelated case to the missing hiker, who was found 2 years after they found her body. Like, okay. All right, then. Like, that's what an unfortunate series of coincidences happening here. No bodies are on this land. Ah, yes, of course. Well, crocodiles and alligators, whatever you got, we need to be alerted by the splashes and struggling, just to make sure it's a lot more populated area. Nature will take care of it. Yep. The corn is coming in very good this year, Cookie. I wonder why that is.
The discovery was the kind of thing that sticks with a person, the kind of sight that haunts a small town long after the headlines fade. It was April 13th, 1977, when Charlie and Mavis returned to their abandoned farmland about 8 miles west of Tofield, Alberta, Canada. They were actually scavenging, hoping to salvage a septic tank pump from the old property before buying a brand new one. It's unclear if they ever did find that pump, but what they did find was a foot protruding from the murky depths of the septic tank on the abandoned property, pale and...
a free... Not only a free septic tank, free lunch. Excellent.
bloated.
Luck and prayer to the corn gods. Yes, of course.
The surface of the foul, murky water. What the couple initially assumed was some kind of grotesque prank quickly took a darker turn. They then wasted no time hurrying back to their vehicle and driving straight to the Tofield RCMP detachment, where 2 officers responded without hesitation. When the couple led the officers back to the septic tank, the scene was like something out of a horror movie. The old septic tank, roughly 6 feet or 1.8 meters deep, held more than just stagnant toilet water. Just like Charlie had told them, the officers saw the foot poking out from the water. They could tell that the body had been there for a while, as it was badly decomposed and wrapped haphazardly in a yellow bedsheet and
I'd imagine it's been there for a while. The entire farm was they said the entire farm was abandoned at that point, so that motherfucker killed him, dumped him there, and then left. Like, I ain't sticking around for this.
Nylon rope. Whoever it was, they were stuffed into the tank head first, as if someone hoped to erase them from existence. The officers on hand also had no forensics tools or hazmat suits, so with an ice cream pail they found on the property, they spent the next hour taking turns scooping out the putrid water inch by inch to retrieve what was left of the man inside.
I'm just leaving the fucking body there. Fuck it, I'm not doing that. It sounds painfully similar to the story of Black Delilah.
This was a gruesome, laborious process that would stay with everyone involved.
I don't know who Black Delilah is.
As word of the discovery got out, the press dubbed him Septic Tank Sam, a placeholder name for a man who had suffered one of the most brutal deaths Alberta had ever seen. He had no wallet, no IDs. There were no easy...
You couldn't give him like any other name? Septic Tank Sam? Most brutal death in most brutal death in your town's history, and you're gonna call him Septic Tank Sam? Like nearly word for word? Maybe this is what this is. I don't know what Black Delilah is.
Discarded in a rural septic tank, waiting for someone to stumble on it. And while much was unclear in the earliest stages of the investigation, police knew right away that this wasn't some random act of violence. Whoever killed the man known as Septic Tank Sam had gone to great lengths to conceal the body and even greater lengths to inflict suffering. The first thing detectives focused on was what little the body could tell them. The victim was dressed in workman's clothing, a blue Levi's snap-button shirt, a gray t-shirt, blue jeans, and imitation wallaby shoes. Obviously, this wasn't really all that distinctive. There was also no name.
Standard kind of farm attire. You see this all over the place in the rural areas.
Stitched onto the collar or personal effects tucked into his pockets. Just plain, rugged clothing common among laborers, farmers, and construction workers. The killer or killers, however, had made a critical misstep. The perpetrator had covered the body in something known as quicklime before dumping it. This backfired though. Instead of dissolving the body, the chemical, when combined with the moisture in the tank, almost preserved him, locking the evidence in time. So what the killer had hoped would vanish was now the investigators' most valuable asset. And this was good because the
Whoopsie poopsies. So, taking notes, don't use quicklime to dispose of bodies. Noted.
The septic tank itself gave up no clues. There were no shell casings or weapons at the scene. Nothing at all also pointed to where the man had been killed, and along with the decomposition of the body, this suggested that he hadn't died there. The tank, it seems, was just a dump site. Police then began working through possible
scenarios,
even worse. And the sheer brutality of the incident pointed to a personal motive like revenge, jealousy, or maybe retribution for a
That's even worse. Because that means that, one, it could have happened anywhere, and B, it could still be happening.
Slight. It was clear that this wasn't random. And this was then confirmed by the autopsy. It was clear Septic Tank Sam had gone through a prolonged and deeply disturbing ordeal. The medical examiner in Edmonton first began piecing together what little remained of the decomposed body. At first,
about Black Delilah, it was a girl that was found in a water tank at the roof of a hotel, only found after the rooms began complaining about brown smelly blood. Oh, you're talking about that incident in Korea, the really creepy one, where she had the the last image that we have of her is her looking panicked trying to get into an elevator. And constantly looking behind her, and then they found her body in the water tank. Yeah. That one's just creepy. That one's creepy because how the fuck did she get up there? Eerily similar, not kinda, until you get to until you get to the rest of the details. Him being brutalized and dumped in a septic tank that was then buried, that is a bit different.
First, even identifying the victim's race was a challenge. The examiner initially classified the man as Caucasian, which would later turn out to be a huge mistake that hampered the investigation early on. The official cause of death was then ruled as gunshot wounds. There were at least 2 shots fired from a .32 caliber semi-automatic weapon striking the head and chest, but those weren't the injuries that stayed with investigators.
Yeah, see, that for instance. If I recall, was she decapitated? I can't remember if she was decapitated or they just found her dead in the water tank.
What stood out much more was the deliberate, methodical damage inflicted before the final shots were fired. The man had been tied up, attacked, and there were burns on his body. These were determined to have come from both cigarettes and a small butane torch. And that's not—
in case I found a person in a tank, I'd have 2 nickels.
even the worst of it. Apparently, damage was so severe to some areas that it took months to confirm the body was in fact male.
Oh,
the exact
shit.
tools were never identified as there was too much damage and decomposition, but farm shears were floated as a likely possibility. Then, after he was finally given mercy, the man was shot head first into the septic tank, doused with quicklime, and left there. But even despite all of this, the medical examiner would still be able to learn more about him. Sam had a full set of intact teeth, and some even showed signs of recent dental work. He was also of medium build, with dark hair, and judging by his workman's clothing, likely employed in some kind of manual labor. Investigators then floated the idea that Sam might have been a transient or migrant worker passing through Alberta, someone who wouldn't have been missed right away. And Tofield, while small, sat close enough to Edmonton that a drifter or day laborer could have easily passed through unnoticed. But with no name, no leads, and a crime scene that was clearly personal, investigators knew solving it hinged on figuring out who he
She was sliced in
really was.
half. Yeah, that's right. It was something crazy, I remember.
What followed was more than 4 decades of frustration. The first big move, though, came 2 years after the body was found. In 1979, the remains were exhumed from their unmarked grave in an Edmonton cemetery and flown to Oklahoma. There, 2 of the top forensic experts in North America got to work. Their specialty was rebuilding faces from skulls, and using 3D facial reconstruction, they created a model of Sam's face, and more importantly, for the first time made an educated guess at who he might have been, not by name, but by background. Based on bone structure and measurements, they believe the man was indigenous and around 35 years old, contrary to the RCMP report. Unfortunately, though, the reconstruction didn't spark any new leads. So, Sam was laid back to rest as a man without an identity. And after that, it would be
interesting. Man, it's kind of crazy how some of these cases go cold for so long, and then new technology comes by. They exhume the body and leaps and bounds of what it can tell us.
In the year 2000, before the body was exhumed again. This time, forensic artist Cyril Chan from the Chief Medical Examiner's Office tried to rebuild Sam's face, this time using clay. Using the original skull and teeth, Cyril spent weeks marking facial tissue depths with pins and molding brown clay, layering makeshift flesh over bone. He believed this version was more accurate than the 1979 model, but it didn't matter.
That sounds inaccurate.
His reconstruction then made the rounds, landing on posters, news broadcasts, and cold case websites, yet still no one recognized Septic Tank Sam. And through it all, Tofield remained uneasy, not just because of what had happened, but because of the brutality of it. Some farmers reportedly checked their own septic tanks, afraid they might find another Sam. Business owners also wondered if they'd unknowingly served coffee to a killer, and of course, rumors circulated.
Probably.
There was speculation that the murder had been revenge, a punishment for infidelity, or even retribution for some crime, but still not a single name. And then, in 2018, everything changed, not just for Sam, but for cold cases everywhere.
Speaking of leaps and bounds of technology, the last time they exhumed his body was they said, what, like 1975? That's fucking almost 38. It's almost 40 years later.
That year, California investigators cracked open one of America's most infamous unsolved cases. They had identified the Golden State Killer through an emerging tool known as forensic genealogy. This is where, by uploading crime scene DNA to public genetic databases,
the chances of having a civil interaction with serial killers are insanely high. They're usually high-functioning sociopaths if they haven't been caught yet.
Investigators can build family trees and trace suspects from bloodlines. Inspired by the success in California in 2019, Alberta RCMP's Missing Persons Unit pulled his old degraded DNA sample and tried matching it in Canada's new National DNA Database. It was a long shot, and in a surprise to absolutely no one involved in the case, it failed. But despite this first failure in 2020, detectives turned to Othram Inc., a private DNA lab in Texas known for working miracles with impossible samples. Their technicians then got to work pushing the limits of the technology until they created a genetic profile. From that, police finally built a family tree, uploading the data into public databases and slowly working outward, hunting for living relatives who might connect back to Sam. By October 2020,
technology is crazy.
40 years after the body was discovered, they finally had a name. Septic Tank Sam was known as Gordon or Gordy Sanderson. He was a 26-year-old Indigenous man from Manitoba who had disappeared sometime in the mid-1970s. The breakthrough then came full circle when the RCMP reached out to Gordy's surviving relatives, confirming the match through his older sister. On June 29th, 2021, nearly 44 years after his death, the Alberta RCMP held a virtual press conference and announced Gordy's name for the first time publicly. What made the case difficult to swallow, beyond what Gordy had went through, was that Gordy's family had tried to report him missing, but the dots were never connected. No one thought to link an Indigenous man to the septic tank body because investigators spent years assuming he was white. With his identity finally known, though, the case was transformed. For the first time since 1977, it wasn't about identifying the victim, it was about hunting perpetrators, and maybe more than one. Tragically, though, this investigation continues to this day as police work to determine who was responsible for Gordy's death. In the meantime, though, as work continues, Gordy's story can finally be told. He was born on October 22nd, 1950 in Manitoba, and sadly, like so many Indigenous children of his generation, his life was shaped and shattered by something called the 60s scoop. This was a policy that tore thousands of Aboriginal children from their families between the 1960s and 1980s. They were then placed into foster care homes or adopted out to white middle-class families. Gordy was 9 years old when he was taken, and like so many others...
Oh. Was this just a thing Canada was doing? Painfully fighting, they're still fighting for his justice. I mean, someone will find him. He made... That was an erasure method? Man, the more I learn about Canada, the more I learn it's a pretty fucked up place to live. Maybe? I feel like we didn't, because we were very about the Indigenous population sort of thing. Let me see. Let me Google. Let's see. 60s scoop America? Nope. It appears to be Canadian only. It appears to be it's a policy enacted in Canada. There does not appear to be an American version of this. So no, we didn't do that. You're just expecting it because this was also during the period when we were doing a bunch of other things. When we were doing a bunch of other things to minorities, but you're just like, oh yeah, that sounds like something we do. I didn't do it this time. It's not us. You're literally the Simpson memes where Marge is going, Bart, no. It's just like, what? Like, oh, I'm sorry, it's force of habit. That's what I said. You're literally Marge from The Simpsons in this. You're going, Bart, no! Even though I'm not doing anything.
Afterward, he grew up alienated, isolated, and struggling. By the 1970s, he was living in Edmonton, bouncing from place to place, tangled up in addiction problems, and scraping by the best he could. Police also knew his name,
Oh,
but
fuck.
only because of minor run-ins. The last anyone in his family heard, Gordy was planning to visit his younger brother in Calgary. It was supposed to be a simple trip and a chance to reconnect, but somewhere along the way, Gordy vanished. His sister then went on to try to find him, and she reported him missing after years of wondering and worrying. But again, the initial misclassification of the body meant that even if someone was asking the right questions about Gordy, the answers wouldn't have led back to him and Sam being one and the same.
Yeah, unfortunately,
And so when
they
the police
were
finally identified him
really
in
all
2021,
far off.
The revelation was bittersweet. For Gordy's family, there was relief in knowing what happened, but there was also rage and heartbreak. Decades were lost, and justice had been delayed, even to this day. The reality was that Gordy had spent 44 years known only by a nickname born from a place he was dumped, and it was sickening. Gordy wasn't
Yeah,
just
that's gotta be
separate from
terrible.
Sam. He was a brother, a son, and a victim of a system that had failed him. If you made it
Yeah,
this far,
that
thanks so much
sucks.
for watching.
Though, like I said, to be fair for the investigators, it's not as if they had a lot to go on in the 70s for his case. They couldn't. He was so. As he said at the beginning, he was so mangled and gnarled that it was difficult to tell what race he even was, or if he was even a man. So I can't really blame them too much for not knowing. It's just a really unfortunate thing that happened. Yeah, unfortunately, technology was not far enough along to be able to ID him. It is incredibly unfortunate that he's been known as Septic Tank Sam for 40 years. But that's I don't know what the police could really have done about that. So it's just kind of just an unfortunate thing about it. Man, that's horrible. But hopefully they find out who did it one day. Though at this point, I'm imagining that the people who did it will probably be in their 60s or 70s. Like that probably makes sense. So they're probably not long for this world anyway. Like Jack the Ripper wouldn't have much of a chance these days. No, not really. Well, that's not entirely true. There are quite a few mysterious circumstances that are still of cases going on still to this day. But it's just like, but you know, it's like it's the technology advances, and they will probably. I'm wondering if one day they'll figure out who Jack the Ripper really was. Like one day, with some kind of arcane science that borders on magic. I'm gonna start this next one. I'm gonna check on my dog, make sure that she needs to go outside or something.
Mount Washington.
We have a hard theory we're sure on. Really? Tell me about it. I'll be right back. I'll read it in a second, but tell me about it. What's that? Piper's still figuring out her cone. Piper's still figuring out her cone. She's still figuring it out. I've been getting her neck scritches, but she figured out how to jump up on the bed. Being an artist who's notoriously hated women. Really? Fun fact, California, up to World War II, made it illegal for Asians to own land in a certain size, shipped out most Asians to Arizona after Pearl Harbor. That's why Arizona has a very large Asian population. Yeah, I mean, I've heard about that. We know who he is because DNA left behind by one of his brother's descendants was able to match, and they worked with it back from there. Also, I recall, that guy was the prime suspect. Do we know? Is that like a foregone conclusion now? Do we know who Jack the Ripper was? Or is it still just theories at this point? or is it still just theories at this point? Do tell. I was waiting for Piper to want to come back inside. I don't want to leave her outside with her cone on. She's figuring out the cone though. She figured out how to jump onto the bed now. So yeah. So now she can lay in bed as opposed to struggling to get up there. Opens Google immediately. You mean the Google that's crashing and you're praying that crashes? Huh? Something like that, Cookie? You're the one who's praying to crash? Huh? I love that face. Her. Well, it's been so long, I suppose we can never get 100%, but we know like 99%. Like if it's just like more of like a firm thing, because I was quite certain we still didn't. Last time I checked up on it, right? We still didn't really have. We had like some ideas, but we didn't really have anything firm or concrete yet. Like even if it's just like 99% sure, that's pretty good. Oh, let me check to see if Piper wants to come inside. I also grabbed a Tupperware of ice cream. Aaron Kromsky, a Polish immigrant, former suspect, was indeed the killer, according to historians' publications by Vice. Oh. Interesting. Send me some. It's in the mail already. It's coming.
At 6,000,
nothing like some ice cream to hear about a horrific death.
917 meters tall in a country home to the Rockies, the Sierras, and the Alaskan Giants. It's almost difficult to even call it a mountain. But Mount Washington is deceptive. In fact, it's no exaggeration to say that Mount Washington experiences some of the worst conditions, not just in the US, but anywhere on Earth. It's for this reason that it actually has the record for the most fatalities per vertical foot of any mountain on the planet.
That's insane. Even like the Himalayas? Really?
These are the disturbing incidents of the most dangerous small mountain in the United States. As always,
in the United
advised.
Well, no, he said the world. He did say the world, right? I'm not schizoing. Delicious strawberry.
Mount Washington, located in the presidential range of the White Mountains in New Hampshire, doesn't look like a killer. At just 6,000.
Really? I've never heard of this mountain before.
288 feet, or 1,917 meters tall, it barely clears what many people would even call a mountain, at least in parts of the country that boast the Rockies, the Sierras, and the Alaskan Giants. By all appearances...
Oh, strawberry ice cream is the best, Cookie. Strawberry ice cream is the best. Banana split's my favorite, though. My favorite kind of ice cream, banana split's my favorite.
Mount Washington looks like a manageable day trip, a big hill you can knock up before lunch and still be back in time for a meal somewhere in quaint, cozy New Hampshire. But as the saying goes, appearances can be deceiving. Since 1849, Mount Washington has racked up a body count that seems abnormally high for its seemingly unimpressive conditions. With more than 160 known fatalities and hundreds of rescues every decade, Mount Washington is actually so
160?
deceptively dangerous that it holds the title of the mountain with the most deaths per vertical foot in the world. This is even stranger when you consider that at the summit there are several buildings and a tourist information desk, all seeming so harmless. And yet,
Why?
not far from the tourist information desk, there's a framed poster that quietly hints the danger.
Crooked and off topic in your Discord show. That picture, it was the medium option.
It was the medium option? What? I see you're getting a kick out of the Space Marine TTS. It was the medium option. What happened to that ice cream cone, Bastion?
It's a list titled Casualties of Mount Washington, with names stretching back almost 2 centuries. The
What is this
truth
like-
is,
what is this,
Mount
an-
Washington's danger clearly isn't in its height.
What is it, in like a fucking ancient Indian burial ground? What the fuck's happening on this mountain?
Instead, it's due to the conditions on it. The weather on it has been called...
Orion! Thank you for the follow. As I freeze my teeth with the ice cream. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Scary Interesting, where we hear about the cursed mountain that apparently eats children, as far as I can tell. No GLaDOS AI, you hate me? I don't think Tangia has a GLaDOS AI. Hold on. Let me check. Let me check. I would turn it on if it was there. But I'm pretty sure I didn't see it last time. Let me see. GLaDOS. Oh.
It was giant, brother, but delicious.
Ooh, but delicious, he says. There. Is it there? There you go. 402 GLaDOS TTS. There you go, Cookie.
called the worst in the world, and that's actually not an exaggeration. Winds of more than 230 miles per hour or 370 kilometers per hour have been clocked at the summit.
Oh, Jesus.
For context, that's just shy of the speeds of an F5 category tornado.
Yeah,
These
that's
hurricane force
Finally, I am
horrific.
verbal again.
Yeah, that's horrific. That is if a small rock gets picked up and flung at you, that's fucking breaking your skull. That's putting you down on the spot.
Past the peak more than 100 days
It was
a week,
called
and temperatures plummet to levels
Elvis,
that will
brother.
freeze your skin solid in minutes. Even on a sunny, warm day at the base, conditions
Elvis
at the top
brother.
can turn to whiteout blizzards so fast that by the time you realize
Surely
you're
you
in trouble,
jest,
it's already
brother.
too late. And as a result, every year, Mount Washington lures in new victim. Some confident, some clueless, all of them unprepared for the merciless swings. Some die just a few feet from shelter, others vanish into the snow or slip off hidden cliffs. And a few
That's crazy. That's crazy. For such a small mountain, right? Like a very like basically a big hill, pretty much. It's a very small mountain. It is crazy that the weather can change so dramatically, so quickly.
these make headlines, but most don't, and together they've earned Mount Washington a fearsome reputation as the deadliest small mountain in America. Long before it earned this distinction, though, Mount Washington was a place of awe, mystery, and deep respect. The indigenous Abenaki people knew it as Agiokochuk, or home of the Great Spirit, and believed the summit was so sacred that it should never be climbed.
Oh,
They spoke
whoops.
of powerful spirits who dwelled at the top, where the clouds
I fucking called it. Cursed. Cursed indigenous land. I knew it. I knew it. I called that shit. Someone better pick up that fucking phone.
kissed the stones and the winds howled
It's
with
Pet
other
Cemetery all
force.
over again.
Because even long before Europeans ever set foot on the continent, the mountain's deadly temperament was legend. The first European to record seeing it was an Italian explorer named Giovanni de Verrazzano, who spotted the white-topped peak from the Atlantic Ocean in 1524. and
I
noted
see. It shares my opinion of the Italians. That's what the mountain does.
I'm curious. How skeptical would you consider yourself about the supernatural?
Depends. There are some things I do believe in for the supernatural cases, but there are also things I don't. believe in. For instance, like a lot of these supernatural videos you see on
Brother,
YouTube,
what
I would say
local
over
attractions do
99%
you
of
have?
them are bullshit.
Not water parks and the like, but old-timey things. For example, in a place relatively close by, we have a Vulture City and its famous hanging tree.
What local attraction do we have? I mean, we got the Arch. we got that. Or you mean like more like old? Like, what do you mean by old timey? Because the Arch has been there for a fucking long ass time. That's just been there for a long time. Or you mean like before the time of the before the time it was built, like before the time of the settlers and things like that. Like how old timey are we talking here? You gotta be more specific, Bastion. But in terms of spirit things, when it comes to like for instance the great spirits that you hear from Native American tribes, I am dubious of those. I'm not entirely sure about that, mainly because the great spirits didn't seem to really help them out that much. But yeah, I don't know. I am no spiritual person. I just point out how I see it, like how the like ghost encounter, like a lot of ghost encounters are just so, they're too, I guess they're too perfect, right? For something that just like is dubious on whether or not it's true or not. If you would believe these ghost encounter videos, they'd be like, fucking hell, it seems like proving ghosts are real is like the easiest thing in the world.
In his journals.
You know?
It wouldn't be until the mid-1600s, though, that settlers began pushing into the region, bringing their own names and ambitions.
By the 1700s, English colonists had christened it Mount Washington in honor of George Washington, decades before he would become the nation's first president.
Ah!
In 1642, Darby Field, an Englishman living in New Hampshire, made the first...
You cannot fool me. Brother Arch is Norwegian, and laced cowboy and Indian, times old. To be fair, brother the great spirits were probably tired, hoping between the different tribes as one killed the other.
Oh, God. I agree. I tend to keep respectful towards spirits. I'm a witchy goblin, of course. But media supernatural is very oversaturated and exaggerated. Yeah. They're fun stories, though. I have my voice cracked there. Holy shit. They're fun stories, though. Right? When you're just like, I want to watch something spooky on the internet. They're fun. They're a lot of fun.
First recorded European ascent. At least he claimed to have climbed the summit. This was something that wasn't fully believed at the time, but either way, Darby's tales of the fierce winds and barren rock only fueled the mountain's mystique.
Darby's a liar.
Then, as the 19th century dawned, it transitioned from a myth to a magnet, and it became a proving ground for the bold and the curious. By the mid-1800s, the mountain had become a destination for rugged adventurers and early tourists alike. As a result of this popularity, in 1852, the Tip Top House, a small stone hotel, was built at the summit to accommodate visitors, and then a few years later, the first road, and then the Cog Railway, which was the world's first mountain climbing cog railway. But this accessibility came at a cost. As the streams of visitors grew, so did the casualties. Even as technology advanced with better gear.
So yeah, I would imagine, even during those times, it'd still be pretty much be untamed land that suffers from wild swings of weather. So even if you build like a hotel or a railway to bring people up there, once that shit kicks off, like it's gonna be bad for all those people who aren't prepared to deal with this stuff.
And better rescue operations, it retained its deadly reputation. Even today, it's sort of an uneasy paradox. It's a historic monument, a natural wonder, and a training ground for mountaineers, but simultaneously a graveyard. Before we get into the stories that have occurred on the mountain, though, what exactly makes Mount Washington so dangerous is worthy of a bit more context, and it starts with the worst weather in the world. And this is not some dramatic tourist sports slogan either, it's been scientifically proven. Back in 1934...
It's understanding, respecting nature, the Fae, and others mixing it into distant native roots. So I got my own stories. Your own stories. Like when it comes to... It's nail painting time. When it comes to things like the Fae, I can buy that kind of stuff, right? The ye olde tales of what the of the old spirits. I can believe those. I just don't believe in things like a Victorian ghost is fucking haunting these grounds, and then this TikToker fucking finds it. Oh man, I recorded a ghost encounter. It's always some fucking like ye olde time ghost too. It's never like fucking some guy from 2018 who just died on the property and just went, "Hey, it's Britney time, bitch." You ever hear someone from fucking 2003, like from the 90s, going, "It's Britney, bitch"? I'll punch you in the mouth if you try. I can't whistle. So,
or the Mount Washington Observatory.
I don't have this problem.
At a staggering 231 miles per hour, which is strong enough to literally pull the boots off your feet. This record still holds as the highest non-tornado wind speed ever measured. And the cold doesn't play around either. Temperatures have plummeted to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit or minus...
I fucking imagine with wind speeds like that, that's going to drop dramatically.
45.5 Celsius. And when you factor in the wind chill, it can feel like minus 100
Brother,
Fahrenheit.
You must pick 12-inch cock with a 12% chance of biting you whenever you whip it out. Or have every meal made to perfection with a 12% chance of you getting ass-blasting food poisoning.
Perfect food. A 12-inch cock just sounds like a pain to deal with in general. And then having a 12% chance of it biting me on top of that, it sounds like a bunch of negatives to me. That just sounds like a bunch of fucking negatives to me. And there's such a thing as having something that's too big. And yeah, 12 inches is definitely just... Why? So I'd rather have perfect food with a 12% chance of ass-blasting food poisoning.
It also snows so hard and so often that even in July, you might find yourself trudging through snowdrifts up to your hips. The mountain also averages 280 inches or 711 centimeters of snow a year, and thanks to the endless howling wind, that snow blows into drifts 10 to 30 feet
inches
to 12
of
meters
snow?
deep in some places. As you might imagine, this completely covers landmarks and trail markers, and the whiteout conditions are about as bad as it gets. And hikes up Mount Washington are more difficult than you'd expect from its size too. Every route, no matter how popular, involves a fairly brutal climb.
Damn, that's like, for such a low mountain, that's a lot.
Many start near sea level and climb to more than 4,000 feet or 1,200 meters in just a handful of miles. And in fact,
but then why would I even fucking bother at that point, Bastion?
One particular route, the Tuckerman Ravine route, actually works out to be a steeper gain per mile than Denali's famous West Buttress route. And then once you break above the tree line at around 4,400 feet, you're completely exposed. There are no trees to block the wind and no real shelter until the very top, just endless rocks and the occasional sheer drop. The average hike time is also about 8 hours, and that's assuming you don't get blown off course, cramp up, run out of daylight, or have to even find the trail because it was erased by snow. Maybe worst of all, though, is that Mount Washington just feels accessible. It's right there, just a few hours from Boston. You can drive to it, you can even ride a train to the summit, take a selfie, and grab a cup of hot chocolate at the gift shop. It looks tame and can even feel tame, but obviously this is deceptive.
I'm using text to speech because I'm struggling with my nails being painted. But that just sounds like you already have a big cock, my guy, and you're in your compensating.
He would end up reaching the summit, but it was on the descent that disaster struck.
No, I got a small
lost
PP.
the trail somewhere in the dense
I
wilderness.
got a small PP, and I like that way.
And wind erased any landmarks. Then alone, disoriented, and battered by the elements, he wandered until his strength gave out. His body was later found frozen solid in the bed of a river. 6 years later, the mountain claimed a second notable victim, and its first woman. Lizzie Bourne was just 23 years old, and despite a pre-existing heart condition and heavy Victorian clothing that would have made movement difficult even in good weather, Lizzie set off with her uncle and cousin, aiming to see the next morning sunrise from the summit's famed tip-top house.
It got my stutters. It's got you down perfectly.
Deteriorated.
Brother, have you ever seen the Teeth movie?
Clouds obscured the trailhead. Soon enough, with the
Ever seen the Teeth movie? No, I've never seen it.
night closing in and the trail invisible, the group built a crude stone shelter against the wind and huddled for warmth. By morning, however, Lizzie had succumbed to the cold and died of hypothermia. And tragically, in a cruel twist of fate, when the fog lifted, Tip Top House stood just a few hundred feet away. It was so close, they probably could have crawled to it had they had known. But despite this well-documented history, Mount Washington keeps claiming victims to this day. On the morning of June 17th, 2024, Jesse texted his longtime friend and neighbor, Dennis, to share his excitement. At 53, Jesse was an experienced hiker who had fallen in love with New Hampshire.
That's insane that it's still taking, like old-timey times. All right, sure, fine. I mean, I could believe that, sure. Fuck, I could believe that, yeah. Fucking 2024 and this mountain's still still taking bodies, like, goddamn.
After moving to Massachusetts in the late 1990s. Many weekends found him venturing north from his home in Andover, sometimes with his wife and their 3 children, but often with his teenage son, who shared his father's stamina for strenuous multi-day
Nature still
climbs.
claims.
Then, even when he wasn't hiking, he was preparing for it, following outdoor YouTubers, researching the latest ultralight gear, and updating his list of dream climbs, including Mount Kilimanjaro. In his kitchen, he even had a map of New Hampshire's 4,000-foot peaks, and by June of 2024, he had already conquered 21 of them. That weekend as well, Jesse aimed to tackle one of the most storied and grueling routes in the White Mountains, something known as the Presidential Traverse. This is 20 miles or 32 kilometers across 7 exposed 4,000-foot peaks, including Madison, Adams, Jefferson, Washington, Monroe, Eisenhower, and Pierce. And he had hoped to share this trek with his son, but when his son couldn't get away from school, he decided to go solo. Around 9 a.m. that morning, he texted a photo of his packed gear to Dennis, smiling with anticipation. Then by Friday night, Jesse was at a tent site nestled in a quiet grove of hardwoods near the base of Mount Madison. He then sent a short drone video to his family capturing the surrounding wilderness. Early Saturday morning, Jesse set out on his path, and skies were overcast but manageable at first. As he climbed Mount Madison, though, and snapped a series of selfies from its summit, the weather worsened. Gray skies turned to steady rain, the peaks became hidden behind clouds, and wind tugged at his jacket hood. But still, Jesse pressed onward over the rocky summits of Adams and Jefferson. This is where things took a horrifying turn. At 2:50 p.m., he texted his wife, quote,
about a lady with teeth in her vagina. And there is an entire scene dedicated to the surgeon and nurses making fun of a guy, saying that there's not even much reason to reattach his package.
You have cursed me with knowledge, brother. Knowledge I did not want to know. I'm calling the Inquisition.
A bit concerned about hypothermia.
I'm calling the Inquisition. He then also added a request for her to watch his phone's tracking location. Then at 4:26 p.m., another text read, quote, heading to Mount Washington or Lake in the Clouds hut. By this point, the weather was collapsing faster than either of them realized. Up at the summit, winds roared to 80 miles per hour or 129 kilometers per hour, and temperatures nosedived. Sleet and snow also fell over the exposed ridgelines, and the wind chill dipped to -5 degrees Fahrenheit or -21 degrees. And the man's got fucking more stones than I do. Fucking it starts raining on that mountain, I'm turning around going home.
Hey, I am the Inquisition, brother.
You're a space marine. You can't be Inquisitions, brother. Stop lying. There are no space marines in the Inquisition.
Degrees Celsius. This is an unthinkable danger for anyone, much less a soaked and isolated hiker. Then just an hour later, at 5:30 p.m., Jesse sent a gut-wrenching text, quote, in trouble, can't move. His wife then immediately asked if she should call for rescue, and Jesse simply replied, quote, yes, could die. She then called 911, only to be told that rescuers needed a precise location before they could launch a mission.
Lamau. Dying Lamau.
Afterward, his wife frantically tried to guide authorities using his last known coordinates from Jesse's phone, and their son helped pinpoint the longitude and latitude using satellite imagery. As this was going on, as they scrambled to coordinate help, his wife sent more messages asking if he was awake.
The TTS made a noise?
There was no reply. Then finally, there was another message from Jesse.
Error. It did, yeah, he did.
Lost, need help. This would be his final communication. Lieutenant Mark of New Hampshire Fish and Game received the report at 6:34 p.m. Rescue crews then loaded up a truck with tire chains and fought their way up the ice-glazed Mount Washington Auto Road. 4 hours later, at 10:38 p.m., after hours of brutal searching, the first team found Jesse lying on the Gulfside Trail near Mount Clay, and he was unresponsive and deep into hypothermia. They then constructed a makeshift shelter to shield him from the storm and tried desperately to rewarm him. He was then evacuated back to the base of the mountain, and from there he was rushed to the hospital, but despite every effort, Jesse couldn't be saved. He was pronounced dead after several hours of attempted resuscitation. He had been less than a mile from the Lake of the Clouds hut, and he likely would have been safe.
Oh, I'm not really
in the
sure
aftermath,
why
understandably, Jesse's death sent shockwaves through his family.
Don't lie to Miku like this.
A bit of mystery,
you
right?
British
Let's
slag.
focus on the fun side of things, like streaming and singing. So, got any questions about concerts, video games, or maybe how many Bean Boozles Chad is going to give the streamer?
And the hiking community that admired him. He wasn't some reckless adventurer or thrill seeker unprepared for the mountains. He was thoughtful, experienced, prepared, and still, he died anyway. And just 2 months later, Mount Washington struck again. In August 2024, a 72-year-old man decided to take the cog railway up to the summit and then hike down under his own power. This is a fairly common thing for tourists of the mountain, and it was a decision that seemed harmless at the time and should have been harmless. Again, this was August, so the man was dressed only in jeans, a thin raincoat, and hiking boots. As he descended, though, the rain turned to sleet, the fog thickened, and the summit's mild winds grew stronger.
Don't
and worst of all, temperatures then plummeted to below freezing with the wind chill. A fellow hiker found his body the next day, sprawled along the Gulf Side Trail, just half a mile from the summit. Close enough that he might have survived had he turned back sooner. Or maybe he was already on his way back.
Highly doubt Crooked hates
Several months earlier, in March of 2024, two hikers were attempting to ski down the Tuckerman Ravine after a hard-earned climb up Left Gully.
Besides, it's
The
all about
snowpack,
having
though,
fun and sharing good vibes, right? Maybe how many bean boozles they're about to get from chat can cheer both of you up. Hey! Don't worry, you rock. Keep being awesome, K0K K1T.
He does name me. Yes, if Miku says it, it must be true.
Weakened by a week of warm temperatures and then flash frozen under new ice, had turned the slope into a death trap. Both hikers seemed to slip simultaneously, or the snow gave way, and the two went into an uncontrolled slide, 600 vertical feet or 183 meters over hard snow, sharp rocks, and hidden crevasses.
Why does Crooked eat corn on the cob the long way? Oh, that sounds like a quirky way to eat corn. Maybe Crooked is trying to keep things interesting
I've never used
and
it before.
entertain everyone. Or maybe it's a secret strat to avoid bean boozle attacks from chat. You never know with these streamers, they love to keep us on our toes. Either way, it sure makes for some fun moments.
Miku, ask Miku. Edit TTS settings? Where you can mess with the... Okay, so I'll probably mess with that in the background, because there's a lot of stuff. There's apparently a lot I can mess with. There's apparently a lot. Unhinged Miku supremacy. I'm gonna need some examples. Hydrate, I will.
Then, just minutes later, in a tragic coincidence, another hiker fell in nearby Hillman's Highway and suffered critical injuries.
Everyone just
and then
falling
there's
off this damn
Sarah, who
mountain.
didn't slip or get lost. In June of 1994, after finishing a skiing run on the head wall of Tuckerman Ravine, Sarah was making her way down when the mountain dropped a 15-ton chunk of ice on her. Falling ice in Tuckerman Ravine isn't a rare event, especially in late spring and early summer, and on that day, warnings had already been issued for unusually dangerous conditions.
Oh God.
And so, several massive ice blocks broke free from the head wall, some big enough to crush entire groups of climbers.
This mountain just sounds like a terrible place to go.
Sarah never stood a chance. A single erratic piece of falling ice struck her down in an instant. Avalanches, too, are a regular occurrence on the mountain. In April of 2019, a 32-year-old skier ventured alone into the Raymond's Cataract area northeast of Tuckerman Ravine. This is a known avalanche risk zone, and sometime that day, a slide buried him under feet of compacted snow. By the time search and rescue teams found him after an exhausting 90-minute dig, he was in cardiac arrest, and despite every effort to save his life, he was pronounced dead.
Which one could it be, Cookie?
Not every incident comes with a thunderous fall or a dramatic rescue attempt, though. Sometimes it's just quiet, creeping exhaustion. In June of 1933, Simon Joseph, who was just 19 years old, set off with friends toward the Lake of the Clouds hut without food in miserable weather. Rain and cold battered the teenagers as they ascended, and the group eventually drifted apart, weakened by hunger and fatigue. Simon then accidentally veered off the trail into the mist, missing a critical turn. A massive search was launched, but quickly hampered by dense fog and dangerous winds. Days later, his body was found heartbreakingly close to the hut. If he had kept to the path, he might have lived. And in fact, even those whose job it is to save others aren't safe from Mount Washington. Albert Dow, a volunteer with the Mountain Rescue Service, set out to find two missing climbers in January of 1982. The teenagers were trapped somewhere on the upper portion, and avalanche warnings were issued and the mountain was raging. Visibility was also almost zero, and yet still, Albert and his team
they cut all that out after I said it, so I assume it said GLaDOS.
On the descent, he and a fellow rescuer were caught in an avalanche near
Maybe
Limehead.
Crooked enjoys the unique texture experience of the Snickers that way. Streamers are all about adding that quirky twist to things,
I didn't even hear the Kermit either.
Just like how they dodge Bean Boozle attacks from chat. Whatever keeps the stream interesting and fun.
Bash, I'm gonna time you out for the last 10 minutes of the stream if you keep that up.
IDK if Kermit or GLaDOS fits my vibe.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Okay, then. That just took a while for some reason.
It was found 2 hours later, buried under 3 feet of heavy snow. He became the first and still the only Mount Washington rescue volunteer to die during an active mission. And the climbers he was trying to save ended up badly frostbitten but alive. So you can look at Mount Washington's record and start to wonder, how does a mountain barely taller than a Denver suburb keep killing people like this? And the answer is clearly that it's a combination of ice and wind, but it's also its deceptive appearance and the popularity. It doesn't look like a death trap, and it doesn't feel like one either. The mountain is easy to get to. It doesn't require a 2-week expedition.
I don't know what that tastes like.
Glaciers, there are no bush planes, no yaks, and no oxygen masks. You can drive to the trailhead in an SUV and be standing on a sunny-bound trail by mid-morning. And if you're feeling really casual, you can literally take a train or drive your car up to the top and buy a bumper sticker that says you did. It all feels manageable, touristy, and that's exactly the trap. People see the paved road and the gift shop at the summit and think, how bad could it possibly be? They see the blue skies at the base and assume the weather will hold. It doesn't need to be storming when you start, and it doesn't need to look dangerous when you lace up your boots. But, even for the experience, the mountain was still obviously dangerous. He had climbed dozens of peaks across New Hampshire, he knew the White Mountains, he was strong and capable, and still, Mount Washington took him down. The same thing happens again and again. Hikers underestimate the weather, or overestimate their speed, or trust forecasts that can change in minutes. Taking a look at the statistics, between 1928 and 2024, the leading cause of death by a wide margin has been what's been termed long sliding falls, which make up more than 45% of deaths during that time period.
Jesus.
Just behind that, hypothermia and avalanches are tied for second at 20%. Issues like exposure, falling ice, and crevasses are also represented on the list. And one of the more common causes of death on Mount Washington is actually heart attack, with at least 23 being recorded.
That didn't even sound like Kermit. I'll stick to sounding like a sarcastic
Everest or
AR.
K2. It stands there, unassuming and framed by blue skies. It's a mountain that doesn't just kill in raging blizzards or howling whiteouts, although it's more than capable of both. It kills on sunny afternoons under skies so clear you can see the Atlantic Ocean shimmering miles away. It kills when you're 1 mile from a hut, a few hundred feet from a shelter, or when you're already texting your family that you'll be fine. Its victims are almost never cartoonishly reckless. They're just people like Jesse who are thoughtful, methodical, and prepared. They're tourists who decide to stretch their legs after a ride up the Cog Railway. And they're hikers who packed all the right gear but couldn't outrun a freak storm, a wrong step, or a sudden slide. It doesn't look like the sort of place where your story ends. And that illusion is why Mount Washington continues to claim lives year after year in rain, in snow, in broad daylight, and under cheerful skies.
We're just about to end, Cookie.
If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. If you have a...
Man, that's terrible. Man, that's crazy. But we're actually going to end it there for today. The point is, don't go to this mountain, because apparently it's awful and you'll die. But we're going to raid out, because that's going to be the end of the stream for today. It's a little past 10 o'clock now. And that's where I'm going to end it. Some good videos today. Good videos. We're going to raid out. Who are we going to raid to? Thank you all for sticking around. I appreciate you all. Killa's having a special event, so let's raid Killa. Let's see what Killa's special event is. Killa Kawa Uso /raid. Alright. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you all. I had a fun time. Those were some really silly videos today. I hope you all have a good one, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.